most eagerly anticipated spring training game in Nationals history.
Hi, I'm Steven Strasburg. Catch my spring debut against the Tigers right now on MASN.
It's a great day for baseball.
Nats down comes south for spring training. The Tigers are in Vieira to take on our Nationals today, but for some reason that doesn't seem to be the big story of the day. Down here, I'm Bob Carpenter. Welcome to MASN's coverage of the Nationals here in 2010. Rob Dibble joins us in a moment. We're here to see Steven Strasburg. We all know that. Slated to go a couple of innings today in his Nationals spring training debut, at least between the lines. Interesting road he has traveled to the big leagues, at least for now. The great ERA in the Olympics, the success at San Diego State, the #1 pick, the big contract, and pretty good success in the Arizona Fall League. With Steve McCatty, our pitching coach, here's a visit with Rob Dibble.
Obviously, everybody's here to see how this kid throws Steven Strasburg, but how has he handled all the hype and everything surrounding him? How has he been able to do his work?
He's really been good. You know, the kid's great. He's very humble, and what he wants to do right now, I talked to him yesterday, and he said, I just want to go pitch. He just, you know, he doesn't like all the attention he's getting. He says, I haven't proved anything yet, and I just want to get out on the mound pitch. Great kid, very level-headed. I've been really impressed.
What would you like to see out of him today?
A lot of strikes, that would be nice. But no, I just want him to go out and relax and be Steven Strasburg. You know how it is, your first game, but also even the veteran guys, the first game in spring training. I just want to go out and attack, you know, just get a feel for it, be comfortable, and throw the ball over the plate. I just want to watch him pitch. I'm like anybody else. I've watched on the sidelines. I just want to see him face hitters.
Yeah, so do we. Thanks, Mac. Back up to you, Bob.
All right, Rob, in a quiet clubhouse a couple of hours ago, Steven told me he wants to get this first outing under his belt and then get rid of all the hype and just keep on working. There's one spring training job that is not up for grabs, and that's at third base. You all know who plays over there with that magical glove of his, and that's Ryan Zimmerman. Zim's in the lineup today. The Nats and the Tigers coming right up. Welcome back to Vieira. The Nats are on the field. Steven Strasburg is taking his warm-up tosses. And folks, you knew we wouldn't come down here without bringing Debbie Taylor, didn't you?
Bob, I'll tell you what, the fans aren't the only ones that are interested in seeing Steven Strasburg. There are a lot of players, his teammates, that are going to have all eyes on him today. And Sean Burnett told me he's impressed with what he's seen so far.
He's coming here and he's handled his business the way he's supposed to, and he goes about it the right way. And just watch him throw a baseball. If you are a baseball player, you see there's something special there when he throws the ball. It's not many guys can do it. I haven't seen anything like it, and I'm pretty excited to see him go out there and perform. And hopefully he can relax and just know it's a spring training outing and there's nothing too much into it. But it's exciting for the organization. You know, he could really help this city and this organization turn around quick.
And today's starting catcher, Will Nieves, told me a few minutes ago that if he sees any nerves with Steven, he's going to go out to the mound and crack a couple of jokes. Bob, Rob?
And Will told me about an hour ago he'd much rather catch Steven Strasburg than have to hit against him. Interesting repertoire of pitches, Rob. He's considered a 4-pitch pitcher, maybe 5. As we look at the Tiger lineup, they've got some good young talent here. Austin Jackson, a highly regarded young outfielder. Maglio is here. Miguel Cabrera. Carlos Guillen is here. Johnny Damon evidently is not. And Steven Strasburg's first pitch at 1:06 Eastern Time. 67 degrees here at the ballpark, just missing low and away, and we're underway.
Well, it won't be unusual for Steven Strasburg to overthrow even this whole inning because he's just got so much adrenaline work, and he's been living for this day for a long time.
2-0 pitch and a ground ball. Good place for Strasburg to have somebody hit one as Ryan Zimmerman takes care of Austin Jackson.
I mean, if he just went out and threw nothing but fastballs today, that would not be unusual for spring training. During the season, you're looking to go through the lineup 3-4 times, but today he's just trying to throw 30 to 50 pitches, whatever they've got his limit on today.
Left fielder Cleet Thomas is next. But I was talking to Steven about his repertoire this morning. And everybody pays attention to the fact that he throws the four-seam fastball up around 100, but he's got a nasty sinker that he can throw in the mid-90s. Now, who in the world can throw a sinker that hard?
Not many people. They would love to have their fastballs in the low 90s, but here's the thing. You don't want to get so caught up that you have 5 pitches that you forget about your really good pitches, which is the number one.
He's going to go 2-0 on the first 2 hitters who then swing and ground out. Adam Kennedy taking care of that.
And that's the reason why this kid's so special, because you could throw nothing but fastballs all day, even the major league hitters, get behind 2-0, and whether you make a mistake or not, you could get away with it and induce 2 ground balls right there by the first 2 hitters he's ever faced on the Tigers.
Ian Desmond in right field today. He's played there a little bit this spring, played 1 game at Citi Field in right field last year, and another ground ball. You know what? He'll pitch a lot of years if he gets nothing but ground balls. Steven Strasburg's first inning, a rousing 3 ground ball success. Nationals baseball on MASN, brought to you in part by Washington Ford Dealers. Your local Ford dealer invites you to experience Ford like never before. Ford, drive one. Nice crowd on hand today. Cloudy day. Not much of a breeze for a change. This is a pretty volatile time of the year down here. The Nats has a team hitting .242, 30 runs, 7 homers so far. And Ryan Zimmerman coming off an all-star season, a Gold Glove season, 3 for 10 with a home run here in the early going. We get a look at Chris Duncan at first base today. Josh Weitzel, the DH. And it'll be Niger Morgan. And, Rob, we haven't even talked about Rick Porcello yet.
The Tigers have a very special young man on their side. Rick Porcello, this kid, I think he's 21 years old. He may still be 20 years old. They protected his arm a little bit last year, but he did a nice job at the major league level.
He just turned 21 2 days after Christmas. Niger Morgan hitting one on the ground. Don Kelly takes care of that. Some familiar faces on the field for the Tigers, like Maglio Ordonez in right, Miguel Cabrera at first base. We mentioned earlier Carlos Guillen. He's DHing today. What do you think of Jim Leland's ball club? They've made some interesting changes during the offseason. Johnny Damon will be part of this ball club, and he's a proven winner.
Well, they did a lot of revamping, got a lot younger. The kid we saw lead off the game, Austin Jackson, was in the trade for Curtis Granderson. They also brought over Phil Koch from that Yankees bullpen, and Koch is vying for the number 5 spot in the rotation, and/or will be a great left-handed setup man for the Tigers.
Christian Guzman, 2 for 7 with an RBI so far. This is a lineup that has speed at the top, a good batsman who can handle it in the number 2 hole. Easy fly ball for Cleat Thomas, 2 down. Then you have Zimmerman, Willingham, Adam Dunn, all part of that middle of the lineup. Adam not in there today. And Ryan, 3 for 10 with a home run so far. Yes, he is beginning his 5th full major league season.
Porcello last year, Bob, threw 170.2 innings. And whether it's this year or next year, that's where Steven Strasburg should be right about. Threw about 150 innings, college, instructional league, and the Arizona Fall League combined last year. So we're looking at 2 very similar young men.
On a pitch up and in that jammed him, Ryan fouls it off to the right. I was talking to Rick Eckstein around the cage this morning, and it's interesting at this stage of spring training, Rick doesn't really want to talk about who's swinging well, because he says, we got guys out here fighting for jobs. He said, I don't want to sound like I'm favoring one guy over the other, but he's impressed with everybody sticking to their programs and doing what they need to do. And there's a good example. That's an at-bat right there from Ryan Zimmerman, where the bases are empty with 2 outs. He keeps the inning alive, and now you've got some boppers coming up.
Well, it's always a good thing to have competition for jobs in spring training. It makes the veterans work harder. The young guys know where they stand in the organization. And if you even have to move somebody or trade somebody, it's always good to have depth.
Here's Josh Willingham. Josh has had only 3 at-bats, joined the team a little bit late. After the birth of his son, he reports that son, mom, they're home, they're doing well, and all is well in northern Alabama. That's a breaking ball, a front door one that stays up and in near Josh's left shoulder. He's hit a home run this spring. As I mentioned, the Nats have gone deep 7 times. And not that records and numbers in spring training mean that much, but you do want to win one before it gets too long into this thing. Washington 0-6, and the Tigers are 3-3. Don Kelly takes care of that sharply hit ball. The Nationals get a Zimmerman hit and strand a runner, and Steven Strasburg about to go back to work. In the first inning, Steven Strasburg threw 7 pitches, 3 of them for strikes. So Mike Rizzo, he might go 6 or 7 today, huh?
I would not bet on that.
Good to see you, sir.
It's good to be here. It's good to have you guys down for, you brought the cloudy weather with you, I see, and it was a bright sunny day before you guys came.
Well, and you got a nice matchup here too. Strasburg, Porcello, your young man, his first outing. I mean, it couldn't have gone any better in the first inning for him. And it's just a question of, is he going to go 30, 40 pitches today and just get his work in?
Yeah, it's we have him scheduled for 2 innings or 40 pitches, and we'll see what happens. I wouldn't expect him to go out there another inning. This is his first time out. On the mound.
Yeah, he could go down the bullpen and finish up if need be. Plus, you have other pitchers that need to get their work in today's game.
Definitely, the next group of guys, Batista and so on, they'll be in their second rotation. So those second rotations are usually much more sharp than the first go around.
Well, Mike, how do you feel about camp this year? Those of us who've been here, we feel like it's a totally different atmosphere than what's been going on here in Viera in the past.
Well, we're really excited about the ball club that we have on the field, and we're certainly excited about the people we have in the clubhouse, and the veterans have been great. The rookies have been playing really hard, and the results have been great. And the 1-loss record really has no effect on us.
Couple of great breaking balls there by Strasburg. I mean, Bob was talking about 4 or 5 pitches in his repertoire. What would you like to see this year from him to try to develop him towards being a major league pitcher?
Well, that first inning to me was a terrific inning for me. Much more impressive than a strikeout. You get 3 out, 3 ground balls on what'd you say, 7 pitches. That's economical pitching, and that'll keep this guy on the mound into the 7th and 8th inning when you can start getting outs on minimal pitches.
And for a young guy, you just want him to battle. And he fell behind 2-0, got a ground ball, 2-0, ground ball. I mean, those are more important when you're Steve McCaddy and Jim Riggleman or Mike Rizzo right now than his velocity on the jugs gun.
There's no doubt. The velocity, the results are really secondary in what we're looking for right now. We're looking for guys to stretch out. This is the first time that these guys are throwing 100% with a opposing batter in the batter's box. So that in itself is step 1. Step 2 is your second time through. You need to refine yourself a little bit, refine your command, start mixing in your secondary repertoire, and then once we get towards breaking camp, then it starts being a little bit more important to having success and getting some base hits and getting guys out.
We saw him break out the breaking ball there, first couple of hitters. Steven told me he'll take a little bit off his hard slider, and that'll make it more of a slurve. I don't think he considers himself a 2 breaking pitch pitcher, but he can take that 1 pitch and throw it a couple different ways.
Well, I think the uniqueness of Steven Strasburg is he's a big arm guy with field of pitch, and he's got great dexterity in his fingers, and he can add and subtract with not only breaking pitches but with fastball. And if this were to be extended a little bit longer, you'll see a changeup that could be a massively successful pitch for him.
And that's what was said about Steven when he was at college. He didn't even go to his 3rd and 4th pitch, that he basically stayed fastball, breaking ball, slow breaking ball, which is a great pitch to a right-hander, and you saw it against Cabrera. It'll freeze a right-hander. You know, if you drop a 78-mile-an-hour slider in there and then throw a 90-mile-an-hour slider, you know, that's 2 pitches right there that are going to devastate anybody, because they have to get ready for his 100-mile-an-hour fastball. Everybody's going to go up there thinking, I got to be ready, I got to be ready. And if he drops in some 80-mile-an-hour off-speed stuff, you're going to see a lot of knees buckle.
Well, we've seen a funny swing by Cabrera, a check swing a moment ago by Kelly, and then Strasburg gets the ball up a little bit, and Kelly rides it into left field. Tigers have their first base hit.
Well, and give Kelly a lot of credit there, Bob. I mean, he's seen a few pitches from Strasburg, doesn't really know him, and the kid throws very hard, so he's looking for the hard fastball, and got behind with the break and stuff, got a fastball up, and all he did was tap it into left field. And, you know, when I was throwing in my day, I hated that more than anything. You could even make a good pitch, guy goes the other way with it, and they could get hits all day like that.
Alex Avila, the catcher, with 2 outs.
And I know you know his old man. He's the assistant GM with the Tigers, and I've talked to Al Avila a lot lately, even yesterday. And this is his son, so he's got to be proud that he's got a kid in the big league.
Definitely, Al, a great scout, comes from a great scouting family. His dad's a legend down in Latin America, and his son here was a great catcher in college, Alabama, I believe he was, and he could really hit, and he's really taught himself to be a good handler of pitching behind the plate.
One ball and 1 strike to Avila, hitting .222 with a couple of RBIs on the spring. And I think the Tigers are a great example of a ball club that went through some very difficult times with young players. You think back to them losing 100 games. A couple of years later, they're in the playoffs. In '06, they're in the World Series. Avila with a base hit there, 2 on, 2 out. But, Mike, it can be done if you do it the right way and take it one step at a time.
Certainly. You know, they had Dave Dombrowski does a terrific job. He's built several winning clubs. And when he took over there, they were, you know, they had several down seasons, but he stuck to the plan, and they made good, prudent decisions and reaped the benefits of it in a relatively quick fashion. So.
And then, just like Stan Kasten told us, the Braves did. Once they had a good young ball club, then you sprinkle in the experienced free agents.
Definitely, it's that's probably phase 3 is when you've got good core players and you have some roster flexibility. That's when you go out and get your guys that supposedly are going to put you over the top and help you to compete.
Well, and right now Strasburg with guys on base working from the stretch. You saw Will Nieves telling him keep that front shoulder locked in and closed and pick up the target. It's actually, you like to see that, not because it's he's in trouble, but it's spring training. You want to see the kid work from the stretch. Mm-hmm. I know with the Reds, first, third, fifth, the odd number innings we used to throw from the stretch when we were warming up. And so it's nice for him to get some work in from the stretch here.
Well, it's part of the developmental process. You know, a lot of things that these really successful pitchers coming into their first pro season haven't done is, you know, hold on runners, pitch from the stretch, field bunts, pickoff plays, and those type of things. That's part of the developmental process that makes you a full, well-rounded pitcher.
And a 3-1, he gets the fastball in there.
And quickness to the plate is interesting. I talked to Tim Raines today, and we were talking base stealing, base running. And as a big league pitcher, you need to give Will Nieves a chance to throw runners out, get the ball to him 1-1, 1-2. You would love it to be that. So this is all stuff he's going to need to work on this year.
Yeah, Strauss is ultra quick to the ball. To the plate.
A 3-2 breaking ball with the runners going. Brent DeLugash frozen at the plate. Strasburg strikes out 2 singles in 2 solid innings. This year you can purchase a 4-game Grand Slam Flex plan. Get a 5th game free. Plans start as low as $68 per seat. That's total. Visit nationals.com/Grand Slam or call 202-765-NATS. Spend less, get more. Go Nats. Mike Rizzo is with us, the Nationals GM. As we go to the bottom of the second, Kennedy, Desmond, and Duncan. Mike, let's talk a little offense as we see at least a pretty good portion of your everyday lineup out here today.
Yeah, Rick Eckstein says that we're going in the right direction. Guys are getting their swings in, they're working, and we're working. Early on we work on seeing pitches, tracking balls, and then a little bit of mechanical stuff, and then it's time to just let the guys, let their experience take over and go to work.
And this is one of the newest acquisitions for the Nationals this year. He's got World Series experience, Adam Kennedy, and he's a very good contact guy and a hard-nosed player up the middle.
He's a true professional player. He works pitches. He can go the other way. He'll hit behind runners. Plays solid defense. Really a quiet, confident guy in the clubhouse. Takes the time with the young players, and he doesn't do anything that really knocks your eyes out. He just, in the words of the old-time scouts, he just beats you, and that's the kind of guy we were looking for in that position.
Steady.
He's a real steady guy. Yeah.
Right.
Interesting that Kennedy bats, and now Ian Desmond steps in, playing right field today. And Ian told me he's played a little right field this spring. He just wants to be in the lineup, and he's been hitting the ball well. But, Mike, a bit of a quandary about what to do with a young player of this kind of talent.
Well, we see Ian as an everyday player for us. He's going to play every day somewhere this season, be it here on the major league level or in AAA. And we've got Guzzi at shortstop, and he's a veteran player that can swing the bat. He's Desi's gonna battle to win that spot. We're going to bring the best team. We're going to bring the best 25 guys north, and if he's the best shortstop going north, then he'll be the shortstop. If not, I believe that he'll go down to AAA, and you'll see him as our everyday shortstop sometime in the very near future.
1-2 to Desmond, 6 for 11 this spring, a homer, 7 RBIs, and he takes that one up high, 2-2. What did you learn about him at the big league level last September when we got a pretty good look at him?
Well, I learned that the ball jumps off his bat pretty darn good, and he's got great range. He's got great energy and great tools. What impressed me a lot was the ability to make adjustments on the fly, and he was really like a sponge. He soaked up a lot of major league advice and experiences in a short time he was here.
Does the 0-6 start at all in the spring concern you?
It does not, Rob. It's in the immortal words of Tommy Lasorda, that we shouldn't even keep score in spring training. We understand the fans like a result in the game, but I look at things much different. You're out there with your frontline guys are out there, and if they do their job, you're happy with the day. And at the end of the day, if a AA or AAA young pitcher gives up 4 or 5 runs and you lose the game, so be it. I'd hate to go 15-3 in spring training or something like that and waste all those W's there, and then you're starting from scratch again. Everything we're doing here is geared towards April 5th, opening day, and we're as excited today as we were a week ago when this thing's just started. There's 10 teams with 1 win in spring training right now. It's so early, and there's just so many young players on the field.
Hey, Mike, thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
It's my pleasure, fellas.
Thanks, Riz.
Mike Rizzo, the Nationals GM. No score against the Tigers after 2.
Welcome back to Vieira. We are scoreless as we move to the top of the 3rd inning. Stephen Strasburg with 2 shutout innings. And just to tell you a little bit about Stephen, Davey Johnson, who is now a senior advisor to Mike Rizzo, the Nationals general manager, told me today that when he managed him for the Olympic team back in 2008 in Beijing, it was difficult for Stephen. He was an amateur playing with a lot of big league ball players, but he said that Stephen really showed a lot of poise. He said it got to a point where at times, some of the players would call him names, but he was very good-natured about it. And Davey said it was all put to rest when he pitched his first game and he had a no-hitter through 6. And he said he was really amazed at how he handled the pressure. Bob?
Thank you, Debbie. Yeah, that'll shut up some of the clubhouse chatter when you go out and do it between the lines. But Rob, this is not a country club. You go out, you go out and earn the respect of your teammates and your opponents by doing it out there, not by what kind of contract you sign or anything like that.
Well, and that's what the Nationals and Mike Rizzo and Riggleman and everybody are trying to get, not just Steven Strasburg, but Drew Storen and all of their young, Danny Espinosa, all their young talent. This is your job. This is, if you had a 9 to 5, this is your 9 to 5. You're going to show up, you're going to have to do your stuff and take care of your business off the field. And so there's a lot more to being a baseball player than just playing the game. And you have to learn how to deal with the off the field stuff. From everything I've talked to with Jim Riggleman or Mike Rizzo, I mean, Steven just got married in January. He's taking care of his personal things off the field. Now he's just got to take care of playing some baseball, and that's the easiest part of his problem probably.
Ramon Santiago rocks one into left center against Miguel Batista, who takes over. But a look back at the 2 innings of Steven Strasburg, it was interesting, Rob. He fell behind his first 2 hitters 2-0 and then got ground balls.
Well, and let me try to evaluate him the way they'll talk about him in the meeting after the game tonight. He repeated his delivery brilliantly. He may have overthrew a few pitches, but was able to come back and, get the outs when he needed to, and the mental part of it is as important or more in this outing today. His velocity was great, the curveball was great, etc. But even at the end, first and second from the stretch, a 3-2, knee buckling breaking ball, and those are the things that mentally it just shows you how far along that Steven Strasburg is. Beyond his years. He's a very poised young man, and he just wanted to go out there and play some baseball today.
With the runner going, a really short throw from Will Nieves into second base, Ramon Santiago. That was not a straight steal. That was a hit and run. Austin Jackson was trying to protect the runner. He couldn't do it, but then the base still stolen by Santiago.
Well, and we talked about this with Strasburg. Miguel Batista is a veteran pitcher. You got to get the ball to home plate quickly. Not quick enough as Nieves throws, just getting there as the runner's getting to the bag. So it doesn't matter if you're 21 or 41. There's still some things you need to do as a baseball player that help the entire team.
By the way, another Nats catcher, Derek Norris, is the youngest player in camp at the age of 20. I had to laugh at John Devers' game notes. He said the wisest player in camp is 40-year-old Ron Vallone. I wouldn't call Vallone old either. The Jersey boy will come looking for you. But 20 players in camp, 25 or younger. 11 non-roster players, 6 of them are pitchers, and one of them's on the mound right now, and the veteran Miguel Batista. Count of 1-2 to Austin Jackson. That's a good hard breaking ball that gets him looking. Had a hard slider, maybe a cutter look to it.
No, if Miguel Batista can get some of his pitching back the way he used to be, this kid's got one of the best arms over the last 15 years in the game, and if he can be strong enough to make this club, he'd be a heck of an addition. He can start, he can relieve, and he's also a very, very smart kid. He speaks a bunch of languages, and he's very cerebral, but the Nationals need strike throwers right now.
Fastball away to Clete Thomas. We're hoping to have a chance to visit with Steven Strasburg a little bit later. He sure made me laugh this morning. He was carrying a bat around the clubhouse, and I basically said, what are you doing with that? Because it's a DH scenario today. When he makes it to the major leagues, of course, with our ball club, he will be hitting. And he said, well, I can hack a little bit. And he tried to tell Tony Gwynn that at San Diego State. Tony told Strasburg, if you go 10-0, I'll get you an at-bat. Strasburg went 10-0, and his manager reneged on that promise.
Oh, that's not good out of the Hall of Famer, Mr. Gwynn.
Tony probably saw some videotape of Steven with the stick and decided otherwise. But, Steven is very fond of his days in San Diego with the Hall of Famer. He thought Tony Gwynn was a great college head coach. Learned a lot from him about the nuances of this game.
Well, and Tony did a great job of recognizing that Steven was a big league talent that had a $1 million arm and obviously the $15 million bonus, but worked him once a week, once every seventh day, actually, on Friday nights. And, to Tony Gwynn's credit, Steven only threw 110 innings last year. It was college amateur baseball, and now he can start developing his arm professionally and putting a lot of mileage on it.
Ball tailing back to the left fielder, Josh Willingham, for the second out. Off the bat of Cleet Thomas, that'll bring up Maglio Ordonez.
Well, and I met with Ryan Zimmerman today when I came in to say hello to a lot of the guys, and he said, listen, we have a much better team this year. We're going to be much better defensively, and we're going to score some runs. So knowing that, as we do, it's going to come down to pitching for the Nationals. If they can get 5 solid starters, a solid bullpen, they're going to win a lot of ball games. But if they continue to do what they did last year, the year before, which is get behind hitters, give up a lot of early runs, you're going to have a lot of losses. That's not what you want to do. So I think everything that Rizzo and everybody's trying to do here now is develop this pitching staff into a winning staff.
Maglio Ordonez, 12 full years in the big leagues. He made a comeback of sorts last year when he hit .310, but the power numbers in 131 games way down, 9 homers and 50 RBIs. But still one of the feared hitters in the American League. The Nationals will make a visit to Detroit for interleague ball this year on a road trip we take there and to Cleveland.
One problem there, though, Bob, the 9 home runs.
Yeah.
You're making $18 million a year. You got to have a little more production from a guy like Ordonez.
And, of course, whenever a guy's power numbers go down these days, that raises eyebrows. And you all know what we're talking about. He's having a good spring, hitting just over 500. He swung at the first pitch against Strasburg and grounded to short, finishing that 1-2-3 first inning. And a 1-2 pitch.
Well, and a perfect example of maybe a little bit too much before you're ready for it. The guy on deck, Miguel Cabrera, obviously he went into alcohol rehab last year. He's 25 years old. He's already got a $100 million contract, but it's handling your business off the field that is as difficult or maybe more so than being a big league ball player.
And we're finding that out in just about every major league sport there is these days.
Well, he just said Allen Iverson now has a gambling and a drinking problem. So I think people need to understand that, yes, you have the talent to play at the major league level. You got to be able to handle yourself off the field as well and be a good citizen, kind of like a Ryan Zimmerman.
2-2 pitch. Fastball up and in. A couple of weeks ago, I heard a story about the fact that about 75% of NFL players are broke by the time they're 5 years out of the league. There's a lesson to be learned from sport to sport, the way things are going these days. 3-2 pitch with a runner at second and 2 outs, and a breaking ball is fouled off to the right.
Well, if people wonder what you do in spring training when you're not practicing or playing, they have a lot of meetings. They talk about off the field issues, whether it's drinking or gambling or who you hang out with. So, Major League Baseball and all the sports, they try to prepare the athletes for life beyond baseball and life when you're away from the field. There's 4 months in the off season where if you want some trouble, you can find it.
Fastball ripped to right center. Here comes Desmond. Ian got a good jump. Not a bad play by a second baseman / shortstop. The Nationals manager Jim Riggleman joins us live from the dugout, coming right up. Bottom of the third inning, it'll be Josh Weitzel, the DH, Will Nieves, and then Niger Morgan for the Nationals. No score, as Rick Porcello is out there to keep working for Detroit. And here's Josh Weitzel, the DH, 2 for 3 this spring.
I know you walked around our clubhouse today. It looks more like a football team than a baseball team in our clubhouse. With
there's
Chris
a lot
Duncan
of guys
in there now and Mike Morris. I mean, you got more 6'5" and 6'6" guys than I've ever seen in one clubhouse.
It's interesting because as I was chatting to some of the guys today, there are those in the ball club who wish the Nationals had about 7 or 8 spots for outfielders.
Yep.
Because Duncan's a big, strong left-handed bat off the bench. We all know what Mike Morse can do. He showed us that last September. And then you got a guy like Willie Taveras, who's kind of like a right-handed Niger Morgan.
Absolutely.
I mean, you'd love to have him for pinch running and, giving Niger some days off here and there.
Well, Willie Taveras one year led the major leagues in infield singles with 70. So he's got a ton of speed.
Well played by the third baseman, Don Kelly, for the first out, bottom of the third. That'll bring up Will Nieves. Will's had 8 at-bats this spring with a couple of hits and a couple of RBIs.
Well, you've been around here a lot longer than I have. I mean, is this a different spring training for the Nationals as far as enthusiasm and what to look forward to in the season and what could be with this organization?
I'll answer your question by stealing a line from myself. I wrote a blog about that very thing when I was down here last week, Rob. I called it Extreme Makeover Clubhouse Edition. And I think when we walk in and see the quality of guys, it's totally different. I mean, we were kidding around a minute ago. Last year at this time, we're talking about Daniel Cabrera and Johnny Estrada, and guys like that we're trying to hang on to their major league careers. And we're really not talking about guys like that this year. And a breaking ball. Will hits it off the end of the bat out to Brent DeLugosh, the second baseman. Miguel Cabrera finding the bag. We saw some of Miguel's third base adventures when he was a Florida Marlin, and he'll be over there probably, or a DH the rest of his career.
And DeLugosh is in for Sizemore, who was scratched right before game time. Sizemore's been banged up already this spring.
Here's Niger Morgan, who hit a little bouncer over to Don Kelly at third base, first time up. Niger had some people holding their breath here yesterday. He hit a bouncing ball base hit to right field, turned on the jets, stretched it into a double, but I guess he wasn't thinking about the slide. He went in hard, hands first, and everybody in the dugout and up in the press box and in the front office, which is located upstairs from us, they were holding their breath. Don't even throw it. That's a base hit. He is amazingly quick out of that batter's box.
Well, and I wanted to have Tim Raines on my radio show this morning to talk about that. Alex Gordon with the Royals broke his hand diving headfirst into second base, and you see the speed right here. He puts down a perfect bunt. No chance at getting Niger. Tim Raines had 800 plus stolen bases at the major league level. He's number 5 all time in the major leagues. And he said, listen, sometimes he dove head first. Sometimes he went feet first. It depends on whether you're trying to be safe at second or barreling over the catcher. I mean, it's hard to make that split decision, but I think Niger's now more aware of the injuries that you can get from diving head first.
There he goes. Let's see the dive. It's feet first. He is in there. And this is interesting. You see the infielder come up hobbling?
Yep.
That's what they used to do when Maury Wills and Lou Brock and guys like that went in hard first with the feet, Rob, because infielders do not want to stick their nose in there.
And that's a great point, Bob, because now you're coming in there, instead of being just, hands coming in there first, your whole body's coming in, led by those spikes, up by the knees. And obviously Santiago, he didn't want any part of that. He just got spiked. And so it adds another dimension to Niger Morgan's game where he's not just quick, he's quick and he's in your face. So whether it's breaking up a double play or stealing a base, sometimes spike first. I mean, that's the way the old timers used to play it. Like you said, Maury Wills, Lou Brock, Tim Raines, who he brought up was his favorite base stealer? Willie Mays.
Yeah.
So you're talking about guys that stole 500 plus bases at the major league level that all had something in common. When they went in hard, and you knew it. So if it was going to be a bang-bang play, you shied away from it. You don't want to get hurt with a guy's spikes in your legs.
Yeah, what would you rather tag, a guy's fingertips or some steel coming at you?
Or his face.
Yeah.
You can smack the guy right in the nose. I mean, coming in face first. Everybody remembers, Matt Holliday a few years ago when he dove head first in for Colorado. I mean, he did a face plant in the home plate. You don't want to make a habit of doing things like that. You could get injured seriously.
1-2 to Christian Guzman, and the Nats not able to manufacture a run on the ground ball. It's a close play, but out. And had he been safe, Niger Morgan was coming around to score. The game is still scoreless into the fourth. Top of the fourth inning, Miguel Batista working another inning here against the Tigers. No score. And manager Jim Riggleman joins us from down in the dugout. Jim, we'll get to Mr. Strasburg in a moment, but I know Rob and I really like that feet first slide we just saw from Niger Morgan. How did it look from the dugout?
Well, it looked real good, just a hair late, but, when you go feet first like that, as you saw, you get in there fast and hard, kind of a la Lou Brock back in the day. He went so hard and fast in there, those infielders really didn't want to hang in there too much on him.
Has it been said to Niger, if there's some indecision, just slide however you're comfortable?
Yeah. Definitely. We don't want his feet to get tangled up and it becomes a defeat in the process. You know, we want him out there for 145, 150 games this year. So, you know, this is a work in progress. I'm sure there's going to be times where he just has to go head first. But if we can minimize it, that's the goal at this point.
We're looking at the replay right here. Yeah, that was a late slide. Santiago came up hobbling. And, you know, Jim, you know how Whitey played in St. Louis with some of those speedsters he had after Lou Brock, of course, retired. That is a very important element to your game this year if that thing can stay healthy and keep producing all year.
Yeah, you know, it's the importance, you know, on the bases is big, but really where it really shows up is defensively to have him covering center field for us the way he does. You know, there's just not many people in the league can do what he does out there.
All right, Carlos Guillen, the DH here. Now, we saw Steven pitch 2 innings today, Jim. Got through the first inning and only 7 pitches, getting those ground balls. How did it look for you from the dugout?
Real good. You know, I thought the ball was coming out free and easy. You know, mixed in a couple nice breaking balls to a couple 3 change-ups. And really, you know, very, very composed. I know he had a lot of butterflies before the game, and I'm sure he was feeling that out there a little bit. When he got in the stretch, I think he was a little uncomfortable for a few pitches, but he regrouped and threw the great 3-2 strike breaking ball.
I know it's hard to protect him from all the hype and all the glitter and all that stuff, but how's he been able to do his work and kind of just be Steven Strasburg in this camp?
I think his preparation, you know, I think Steve McCaddy and our other pitching coaches here have done a great job with him and allowed him to relax and do his work. And, you know, it's impossible to keep him under the radar, but as much so as possible, it has been done. And I think a lot of credit is due to his upbringing, you know, at home and with his coaching with Tony Gwynn and the pitching coach there in San Diego. The great job they did with him. They kind of brought him along because the attention has been going on for well over a year.
And Batista issuing the first walk of the game to Carlos Guillen, dangerous left-handed DH. He's aboard with 1 out, and Don Kelly coming up. And right before we saw Nyjer Morgan's exploits on the bases, Jim, we saw Ian Desmond get a good jump on a ball and range into right center to keep the Tigers off the board last inning. How athletic is this kid?
Well, tremendously so, yeah. You know, and we want to move him around, play him in some different positions. And, you know, we're a little in between right now what we're going to do with him. But for the most part, as you said, he's such a good athlete. We can use him in a lot of ways.
And that base hit by Don Kelly will chase Carlos Guillen home. He doubles to left center, couldn't be cut off by Willingham or Morgan, and the Tigers take the lead 1-0.
Well, right here, Kelly's going to slap the ball into left center field, and Willingham's not able to cut it off on the route that he took. He kind of cut it and went straight at it instead of angling back, and that allowed Guillen to come in and score all the way from first. But, you know, getting back to Jim Riggleman, the Skip, and Skip, you've got a lot of questions to be answered by the end of spring. Are you going to be able to get all the guys that are in camp enough reps to make solid decisions on all of them?
Well, that's the challenge. You know, you want to give everybody an opportunity, and at the same time, you got to get the guys who know you are going to be pitching for you in your rotation and some certainties in the bullpen. You got to get them plenty of work. So it's a little bit of a dilemma. You know, we sent some guys over on the backfield today to pitch in a game to, you know, instead of a simulated game, it's actually a game, you know, with the umpires and some realism to it. But it's tough. We just have to try to make the best evaluation as we can. And, you know, these pitchers in minimum opportunities are going to have maximum results.
You know, Jim, it's always different in spring training, too, because you have starters coming into the game in the middle to latter part of the game when normally relievers who know how to handle those situations come in. Is it easier to evaluate a guy when he starts a game as opposed to pitching later in a game if he is indeed a starter?
Yeah, we would certainly rather do that. But as the days mount up on you and, you know, no cuts have been made or anything, there's not much you can do to avoid that. You know, for example, today we look at Batista as a potential starter for us, but you know, it was Steven Strasburg's day to pitch, so Miguel had to kind of time his warm-up and his pregame to get ready to pitch in this situation that he's in now. And you know, next time we'll try to have him start the game instead of being the backup.
0-2 to Avila, who singled up the middle first time. Batista throws him a breaking ball that's fouled off to the left side.
In some cases of the extra men and the bench, Does their reputation and what they've done in the past, if they don't have a great spring, does that kind of sway the balance in their favor to make the club?
No question. You know, I got great respect for what a guy does in a full season. It's tough in a you know, a minimal number of games in spring training, minimal at bats, whatever. You know, what they've done in 400 or 500 at bats, or what they've done in the last 2 or 3 years, is going to have more impact than what somebody shows here in a short period of time. But you know, we have to evaluate on something, and spring training is what we have right now to evaluate on.
1-2, Batista. Ground ball, walk, and an RBI double for the Tigers here in the 4th inning. Battling away with a fastball inside. Now, Jim, those of us who've come down here and walked into that clubhouse, and as Rob joked a few minutes ago, it's still almost like a football camp with the number of personnel you have in there. But we feel a different atmosphere in this clubhouse this year. This time last year you were a coach, now you're the manager. Do you feel that as well?
I do, but you know, I don't think we're really going to feel it until we get the numbers down. You know, it's a little more realistic when we get our club down to you know, 35 guys, and then eventually 30 and 25. You know, that's when you really get a feel for the additions that Mike Rizzo has made over the winter. You know, when you really see him in uniform in Washington. But I think it'll get to be a better feeling as we get later in the spring and the club is cut down.
Hey, Jim, we appreciate your time so much. And when you see Adam Dunn, tell him that we really missed his speed in the lineup today.
Yeah, I know it. Well, he'll be glad to hear that, so I'll definitely let him know.
I say that because during batting practice, he hit a little line drive down the right field line, and he immediately said triple.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll look for that first triple this year.
All right, Jim, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
And a ball just beyond the reach of Batista up the middle. Kelly coming in, 2-0 Tigers. That one-out walk helped us set up this inning for Detroit.
Well, this is the difference between an older fastball or breaking ball and a young one. Didn't have a lot of break on it. Hitter's able to just smack it back up the middle, and it's another RBI single for the Tigers. And if you're Batista, you want to try to get that final out of the inning. You're trying to impress people and make this squad.
Not an easy play for Adam Kennedy. Flips it over to Guzman.
Nice job.
Coming up in the bottom of the 4th, the Nats down by 2, and Ryan Zimmerman has a base hit today. 4 for 11 on the spring. Zimmerman, Willingham, and Kennedy coming up for the Nats. We always look forward to seeing the third baseman with that bat. Tigers 2, Nationals nothing. Bottom of the 4th, 3, 4, and 5 coming up for Washington. A reminder that single game tickets are on sale now. Secure your seats for our exciting season coming up with our newly revamped Nationals. Nationals.com or call 888-632-NATS. Spend less, get more. Go Nats. Ryan singled sharply up the middle his first time today. Josh Willingham and Adam Kennedy to follow. The other funny thing Dunn did during batting practice, Mark Lerner, you know, of course, your primary owner, walks on the field, and in jest, Adam Dunn says, "Hey, Mark, where's your car parked out there? I'm going to take a shot or two at it." The players pretty much park beyond the outfield fence. Those of us who don't have the money to replace them as frequently park in foul territory. Ryan's having a decent spring with the bat, 4 for 11 so far. By the way, the new pitcher is right-hander Ryan Perry, who saw 53 games in relief for the Tigers last year.
Well, it's funny, the second week of spring training, and for the relievers who don't have the 95-mile-an-hour fastball, Perry comes out shooting breaking balls right at Zimmerman. And another one.
And another one on 0-2. Ryan missing it. Avila throws him out. Capacity 7,200, Space Coast Stadium in Vieira, Florida. For those of you who haven't been down here with us, it's about a 45-minute drive to the east of the Orlando airport. Right down I-95 from Cape Canaveral, just upstream from Melbourne, Florida. Somebody asked me today, is this Strasburg pitching today the biggest thing that's ever happened in Viera? I said, yeah, since they opened up the movie theater down the street. Four or five years ago, Rob, there was nothing here. This area, the growth has been incredible here.
Oh, there's a beautiful golf course right next door here. There's some massive monster houses right near here. So, you know, during my playing career, I told my wife as we were driving in today, I said, I probably would have gotten one of those houses. They're gorgeous right on the golf course. So, you know, I've been coming here now for the second spring, and this is a gorgeous little town.
Jason Bergman lives right up the street. He did just that several years ago.
Yep.
2 balls and no strikes to Josh Willingham. Pulled the ball on a grounder to third first time.
I'll tell you, that barbecue joint right next to the hotel is fantastic. I'm going to eat there tonight.
Barbecue in Central Florida.
Yep. Sonny's Barbecue right next door.
And by the way, guys, don't let your wives hear this, but there's some really good shopping within 5 minutes of the ballpark. Really good. That may take a new bat. Josh is going to look at the handle. That was a fastball boring in on him. Evidently, he didn't break it, but he hit it not far from the trademark. He's still looking at it.
This is a good running fastball by Perry on the inner half, and you see him tie up Willingham's arms. Couldn't get any extension, and he's going, oh, man, I like that bat. Don't break it. See where they outlawed maple bats in the minor leagues?
I did.
We talked about that all last year, that the broken bats and the maple ones especially going farther than the pitcher's mound in the last 5 years, going all the way out to the outfield, are very dangerous.
The thing that astounded me about that story was the fact that some people are still in denial. And I'm like, what more proof do you need? I think it's a good step. Anything to make the game safer. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Willingham. Well, USA Today is running an interesting series this week about baseball experts getting together and talking about ways to improve the game, Rob, not only from a safety standpoint, but the replay issue, getting the games to move a little faster.
Well, and I know
George
Will is on that committee, and he talked about that on the Caravan. You know, it's not just to speed up the game. It's a way to make the game better, and I think that you can never have enough input on how to make this game better.
Willingham jammed again, and he keeps fighting off those pitches.
You know, some people want more instant replay, not just home runs. They want other calls because the playoffs were so bad.
Yeah,
Major League Baseball just fired 3 senior supervisors from their front office and took 3 umpires off the field. I mean, Randy Marsh, Ed Montague, the third name escapes me, and they were moved into their positions.
High in the air, out behind short. The wind takes it over to the second base side for Brent DeLugash. And that's the second out here in the 4th inning. Adam Kennedy is next.
So, I mean, the game in the front office, and Bud Selig spoke at he got a humanitarian award last night at the Jackie Robinson Foundation dinner, and he said, we're not ready to implement the HGH testing in the minor leagues because we're just not sure that it's even going to help, because so far right now, I guess it's about within 2 weeks, a blood test will catch the HGH in your system. So Major League Baseball is not ready to implement that in the minor leagues yet.
Adam Kennedy, outstanding collegiate player. Fullerton, right?
He's a scrappy guy, though.
Yeah.
I like him. I liked him back when he was with the Angels. He and Eckstein, and you got to see Eckstein in St. Louis. Just gamers, scrappers, guys that can't wait to get to the ballpark every day and get out there and start tearing up some dirt.
And Adam told me that, you know, a lot of people thought he's been injured a lot for the last couple of years. He said, I haven't been that hurt, but when he got to St. Louis, he did not play on an everyday basis. And for a guy at that stage of his career, that was very difficult to handle. And I mean, his production went way, way down. He said, I had a little bit of a knee issue after '07, but I wasn't hurt seriously like a lot of people thought I was. He just wants to play every day and show what he can do. This guy's a former postseason MVP with the Angels.
had some huge home runs with the Angels.
I mean, how many superstars did that team have on it? They were just a bunch of scrappy guys.
Yep.
He played alongside David Eckstein out there.
Well, he had Erstad out in the outfield and guys that just would dive through walls for you.
Yeah. Kennedy gone. A good inning for Ryan Perry with a couple of strikeouts. Around to pop up. Top of the 5th coming up. Tigers lead 2-0. Back to Vieira for the top of the 5th inning. Top of the order for the Tigers. They lead 2-0. A new Nats pitcher on the way in a moment, but an old familiar face, well, not that old, is with Debbie Taylor. And Debbie, he could be on the mound opening day.
Yes, he could, and of course he's one of our favorites, John Lannon. And John, I have to ask you, what did you think of Steven Strasburg today?
Strash did really well. First time out. I'm pretty sure he had a lot of emotions going, and he just showed that he could throw all his pitches for strikes, and he showed that what everybody's been thinking. He went out there and he threw pretty hard, and he did a good job.
We've talked today during the game about how the makeup of the clubhouse is so different. Can you describe it for us and why it's different this year?
We got a lot of guys, great guys, that just bring their personalities in the clubhouse and just make it a better experience, and it's fun to be in the clubhouse.
Have you learned from some of the veterans like Jason Marquis? Have you been able to pick their brains a lot?
Yeah, I'm between Levo and Jason Marquis, so between those guys, they have stories and they just tell me how they've succeeded in the past, and it's definitely helped me out so far.
John, how much of an honor would it be to be named the opening day starter?
As always, I'm humble, but at the same time, I want to go out there and make up for last year's opening day. But yeah, I just like to go out and win as many ball games as I can.
And finally, John, last year for the first time you threw over 200 innings. And what did you learn about that and what you need to do to adjust to the length of a season?
It's a long season, and I just had to stay with my routine and not really break from it, and just to go out there every day, because your arm kind of gets tired at some points. And as long as you run and do all the necessary things between starts, just keep your arm going. That was the main thing that I learned.
Okay, thanks so much for joining us, John. Let's go back upstairs to Bob and Rob.
Thank you, Debbie, and we always appreciate John Lannon. Always great to see his mom and dad, Ed and Flo, at almost all of his starts. A great baseball family from Long Island, John Lannon. Tyler Walker is the new Nats pitcher here. We saw him with the Phillies last year, made 32 appearances for the Phils, a 3.06 ERA and a 2-1 record. Big, strong guy at 6'3", 262. And he will be 34 years of age in the middle of May. A ball upstairs, and Austin Jackson didn't miss it. This kid's got speed. Willingham's throw is well offline, or they might have had a shot. It's a leadoff double for the Tigers, and they now have amassed 6 hits to just 2 by the Nationals today.
Well, Austin Jackson came over as part of that Curtis Granderson trade with the Yankees, and the Yankees wasted no time coming off the World Series to make a deal, but Austin Jackson was one of the most sought-after guys in that Yankees organization. The Tigers got him, and I heard Al Kaline the other day, Bob, talking about the kid, his work ethic, the upside of him, and he said it's just the kid needs some reps. He needs to play some games, not just at the major league level, any kind of games. And that's the problem facing a lot of these young guys, whether you're rushing them to the big leagues or just spring training. They also need to play in a lot of these games to get experience.
Next up is Cleet Thomas. A footnote on Jackson, he had 300 at the Yankees AAA at Scranton Wilkes-Barre last year. Stole 24 bases, drove in 65 runs. That ball just served up the middle on a hop. They'll have to stop Jackson at third. Niger Morgan just has to hit the cutoff man. Chris Duncan let it go through. But the Tigers have runners at first and third to lead off this 5th inning.
Well, we're also getting into the second week of games here in spring training where, as Mike Rizzo put it, you have to start showing a little bit more than just locating a pitch for a strike. You have to start getting some outs, and getting some outs might work its way into, getting some more wins, but you're fighting for a job out there. You got to go out there like this is the Game 7 of the World Series, and your career depends on it.
Maglio Ordonez lined out hard to right center last time. There's that step off toward third and the throw to first. They play Ordonez toward right center with Niger Morgan about 4 or 5 steps toward the gap. Ian Desmond able to pick off that line drive 2 innings ago. AL Central will be interesting this year with the Tigers always in the thick of it. The Twins are opening up a new ballpark, lots of excitement. Although I think April could wreak havoc with their pitching staff if the weather's not good in the Twin Cities.
Little chilly there in an outdoor stadium.
That ball driven to the wall in right field.
Out of here.
And it disappears for a 3-run homer. 5-0 Tigers. Well, maybe there's nothing to question the power of Maglio Ordonez right now. He sweet spotted that ball the opposite way.
Well, as Bob said, this is a fastball up and away to Ordonez. He goes with it. Wind going left field to right field, and it's out in right center field. So get into a little bit of trouble if you're Walker to start off the inning, and then the middle of the lineup can kill you. And that's not going to look good for him on his resume.
And we've learned in this ballpark over the last 5 or 6 springs, the wind constantly blows in from the ocean, which is off to the left of us. Now we're probably 8 to 10 miles inland here, but that breeze comes whipping through here, and right field is the jet stream in this ballpark during the day.
Well, and if you're the Tigers, you're happy to see Maglio Ordonez go the other way with power. That just shows he's covering the plate.
Oof. Miguel Cabrera didn't miss that one by much. Willingham has to come in to grab it, but that was a home run swing, and he just didn't get the sweet spot around on it. First out here in the 5th.
Well, and Walker took something off of that pitch right there. So, you know, after the home run, you give up on a heater, you come back 1-1. This is a good off-speed pitch. Cabrera way out in front of it. Still hit that ball a ton, just straight up.
Carlos Guillen 0 for 1 with a walk and a run scored. I just wonder if now that the Dodgers have left Vero Beach, which always seemed unthinkable, has anybody been in their spring home any longer than the Tigers have been over in Lakeland? That's been Tiger country over there forever. I guess if the Dodgers can leave Vero, anything can happen in this game, huh?
So true. So
hard
true.
to believe that for the second straight spring, that wonderful little town and that complex sitting down there without a ball club.
Well, how about Hall of Famer Sandy Koufax has to fly from Vero now to Arizona to go work with the pitchers?
Get him up here. In the air, out to left center. Nigel Morgan broke back, comes in. He's there. 2 outs. This is the first of 5 spring training games we'll bring you this year. 4 from Florida. On Friday, we'll be right back here, MASN HD. Well, everything's HD. We don't even have to say it this year. It's all HD. 1 o'clock Friday. The Braves will be here next Monday for a night game. We go over to Tampa to play the Yankees on the 24th. And then the Red Sox come to Nationals Park on Saturday the 3rd before opening day against the Phillies 2 days later. Bottom of the 5th inning coming up. The Nationals still looking for some offense here. Only 2 hits on the day. Out hit by the Tigers 9-2 now. And Detroit on top 5-0. Steven Strasburg takes up the first part of our game summary. Rob Dibble, 2 pretty solid innings.
We just need some guys to pitch along with Mr. Strasburg. Did a great job in the first couple of innings, and then Batista got in a little bit of a jam, and then Tyler Walker right there, the 3-run home run opposite field to Maglio Ordonez. And Jim Riggleman can smile because this doesn't really count on your permanent record.
Well, here's the emotional Jose Valverde, who we saw in Arizona closing a couple of years ago. I remember the Nats spoiling a save or 2 against him, but a very animated presence on the mound.
Well, they've made a lot of changes. I mean, Fernando Rodney went to the Angels via free agency. They picked up Valverde. They still have Joel Zamaya, who they say has been triple digits again in this camp, and they just want him to be healthy enough to survive the season. Went out. They got the Daniel Schlereth from the Diamondbacks in a trade. They also got Max Scherzer in the rotation. And you also got Phil Koch, who can start and or relieve. So, I mean, this is a new pitching staff has been totally revamped by Dave Dombrowski and the Tigers this year. So they went to the World Series against the Cardinals a few years ago, but they didn't win. And so obviously they felt, okay, even with the great players we have, we're not winning. Let's make some changes.
And in one of the oddest World Series scenarios you've ever seen, one of the big reasons they lost is because their pitchers could not field their position.
What a great
of
point.
all things, after a long season to happen.
And you wonder what the pitchers do in spring training. You go over that stuff. You drill. It's called pitchers fielding practice, or PFP for short. And you go over it and over it, backing up bases, throwing to bases. And they could not do some fundamental stuff, and it cost them a world championship.
Yeah. They were favored going into that series.
Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, I remember. And to the Cardinals' credit, they outplayed them. I mean, and Eckstein did a great job. He was the World Series MVP.
And they'd been in the series 2 years before that and had their heads handed to them by the Red Sox.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes to get there twice before you really know what you're doing. 2 balls and a strike to Ian Desmond. Struck out swinging first time, but having a good spring. 6 for 12 with a homer and 7 RBIs. The thing I like about Ian, along with all the attributes that Mike Rizzo talked about with us earlier, he just has so much confidence as a young guy. He just exudes confidence. Desmond, Duncan, and Weitzel for the Nats here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Ian, a Florida kid. But when I talked to him today, he said, I just want to play.
Yep.
You know, and I think, I don't know, some guys would say they'd rather one or the other. I think Ian is the kind of kid that would rather go to AAA and play every day than play twice a week in the big leagues. I just get that feeling from him that he wants, we all know he wants to be here. Every young player does. But he's willing to do the things he needs to do for that to happen, Rob. And I really think that he'd rather be an everyday guy because he knows it's not too long before his opportunity comes right here.
No, and well said. I mean, Adam Kennedy said that to you. You know, he wasn't hurt, but he wasn't playing a lot. And because he wasn't playing a lot, he couldn't hit. You know, you have to get those reps. You need 500 at-bats plus every year to really put up some big numbers and some solid numbers. And if he's up here getting 8 at-bats a week, that's not going to translate well. He's not going to be sharp. He won't be edgy. And thus, he may be down on the farm again. So it's better to get your work in down in AAA, come up here and stay for 10, 15 years.
Chris Duncan pulled the ball on the ground first time out to second base.
But make the decision hard. Make the decision hard for Mike Rizzo and his staff and Jim Riggleman to cut you and send you back. You know, you'd much rather have them try to work a trade and move somebody because you're so good they can't live without you. I mean, that's a great scenario to have.
1-1 to Duncan, a big, strong left-handed bat. Not known for his defense, although a couple of years ago in St. Louis, he made maybe the greatest play of his career that cost the Nats a game there, out in left center field. But he's one of those guys who needs ABs. It's tough to get them when you're not starting every day. And a 1-2 with the runner going. He'll take it low. Into second base, Ian Desmond with that element of speed he possesses. The Nats swipe their second, Spike's first stolen base of the day.
And nice job there, Ian Desmond. You got a left-handed hitter with Chris Duncan up there, and so the catcher's going to have to step left and then throw it up the middle, and trying to rush it, he dropped the ball. So Desmond slides in there untouched without a throw from the catcher, but that's just a nice job. It's some baseball. If they're going to give you a stolen base, and Valverde's very slow to the plate, take it.
Desmond 2 for 3 in steals this spring. And Duncan takes a breaking ball low.
Well, and it's also very hard to be patient in the spring. Pitchers are way ahead of the hitters right now. Valverde throwing breaking balls. He's trying to make the club. So that's a pretty good take right there by Chris Duncan.
That is. Those were 2 borderline pitches he laid off. One got his team a bag at second. Now it's 3-2 with nobody out. That's a fastball that runs to the outside corner.
It looked high from up here, so I want to look at the replay to see where this pitch was, as Bob said. Now, that's a beautiful fastball on the outside black. Would have been difficult just to stab at it and hit it into left field, but sometimes you got to take a chance.
Here's the DH, Josh Weitzel. That's a nasty, hard breaking ball down and in.
And this early in the spring, the second week, this guy's got great stuff, and he's working the breaking ball in the beginning of the count. And usually the hitters are thinking, oh, I'll throw me a couple of fastballs, give me at least maybe one cookie. And all of a sudden he drops that nasty breaking ball on you.
Took a little bit off that one inside. 1-1. Paul Nart, the home plate umpire for our spring tilt today. It's a cool day, comfortable day here. 67 degrees at game time. Hasn't been the warmest spring in 2010. Of course, they had a couple of rainouts in Arizona the other day, which is unusual. Most players I've talked to, Rob, over the years say they prefer Arizona because the weather's the same every day. In the desert, it's dry.
Not so lately.
Not this week. I just hope all the teams don't leave Florida. The Dodgers have left. Your old Reds.
They left.
They left Plant City, leaving all those strawberries behind, which was hard to believe.
I was actually watching a game the other day the Reds were playing, and their new facility is fantastic. I mean, the facility here is fantastic compared to what I played for in Tampa and Plant City with the Reds back in the day. But, you know, a lot of these cities are trying to bring in the spring teams.
But how many can you have in one area out there?
Well, it makes it convenient because they're all in one area.
Yeah.
And like you said, it usually doesn't rain an awful lot in the spring. And you build it and we will come. I mean, some fantastic facilities out in Arizona.
But, you know, up and down the I-95 corridor here, the Nats, St. Louis is about over 2 hours south of here. Then the Mets just south of them, or just north of the Cardinals. And then you pretty much have to get all the way down to Lauderdale in that area. I mean, there's just not that much on the east coast of Florida anymore. Dodgers left. Orioles left. And a line drive to the second baseman, caught by DeLugash. That's the second out here in the fifth inning with Will Nieves coming up. Group seating at Nationals Park offering deep discounts over single game prices. The bigger the group, the bigger the savings. For more information regarding group rates, visit nationals.com/groups.
Well, and Valverde pitching in a situation here in the bottom of the fifth, not normally when he's going to enter a game. So as soon as he got a guy on first base, okay, I'll go to my good stuff, my closer stuff, and try to get a couple of outs here with now Duncan and Whitesell.
And a chopper that hits near the plate and spins out to the shortstop Santiago. The Nats are done. They've had only 2 singles today, a walk and a couple of steals. On to the 6th inning. They're enjoying themselves despite the score today. Tigers 5, Nationals nothing as we go to the top of the 6th inning. And as we mentioned earlier, we are completely high definition MASN for you this year. Maximum access to players, coaches, and front office personnel. We already had Jim Riggleman, John Lannon, and Mike Rizzo on today. We'll have Wired Wednesday. We'll cover the bases, exclusive deals with Dunn, Riggleman, Rizzo to visit with them regularly, both on the air and online. All the latest technology and current statistics. The Exmo is back, Rob Dibble's favorite baseball toy.
All right.
Other robotic cameras, enhanced pitch track. Fortunately, no robotic announcers just yet.
We'll work on that.
And Johnny and Ray are together in the studio all year. We can't wait to get together with our two favorite guys in the studio. Top of the 6th inning, Brent DeLugash on a ground ball to Adam Kennedy as Tyler Walker now wants to put a quick inning on the ledger after he gave up 3 runs on 4 hits in the 5th.
You know your hockey team's doing well when you see a lot of Washington Capitals jerseys down in spring training.
But 13 in a row at home for the Caps.
Ovechkin.
There's a good running fastball to Ramon Santiago. Jim Riggleman still has his starting lineup on the field. He might want to recycle another at bat through that lineup. Look like a change up away. 1 ball, 1 strike.
I know one of your other jobs in the offseason is the Oklahoma women's basketball. What did you think of the Lady Huskies 71 straight wins?
Oh, they're amazing. Well, one of those was at Oklahoma this year. We had them, and that was an honor to have that team come in. They're like the 27 Yankees. Well, they beat your brains out, and then they compliment the heck out of you after the game.
Having, a wife that went to UConn and a father-in-law and a sister that all went to UConn, it's a lot of screaming when the men play because they haven't been playing that well this year. Yeah. The women, not a problem.
Yep. I saw another great team come in too that's undefeated, Nebraska. What does that have to do with the Nats? I'll tell you in a minute. That's a hard slider for a strike, and 2 outs now as Walker gets his first strikeout. After I did the Nebraska at Oklahoma game, and that was Nebraska's 25th consecutive win, I got the neatest email from a Nats fan who lives in Nebraska who saw me doing the game, and he was just dying for baseball, even though the basketball team was doing so well. So, this Washington team, because of the nature of the people that come to Washington and work there, and some of them go back home, some of them don't, this is a club that's developing a fan base around the country. I can't tell you how many times I've seen Curly W caps on different sporting events and in airports.
Well, you want to get more fans, you got to change the culture, and they have in that clubhouse. There's a lot more winners and postseason performers in there.
Niger Morgan can only watch this one, and it leaves the ballpark. And there's Austin Jackson that you talked about.
That kid is good. Wow. Well, you saw the 2-2 strikeout by Tyler Walker. Great changeup. Well, here's a young man, sees a fastball, gets full extension, hits it where it's pitched, and I'll tell you, he makes a general manager and president Dave Dombrowski look great when he does stuff like that in spring training.
That's pretty impressive for a guy who hit 4 home runs at AAA last year in 504 at-bats. Now, as we mentioned, the ball carries very well here during the day to right center, but there was nothing cheap about that home run.
Oh, no, and he reminds me in build and the way he swings the bat and the speed in the outfield of an Adam Jones over in Baltimore.
Now you would tell a young player, forget about that swing and don't try to do it again. Just hit singles. Josh Willingham unable to get to that one off the bat of Cleet Thomas. And he'll dig for 3. So in the last 2 innings, Tyler Walker's given up 2 doubles, 2 home runs, a triple, and a single.
Well, he's getting hurt with the fastball, and there's another fastball in the outer half that Thomas just goes with it, and then after he rounds second, boy, he just kicked it into another gear, and Niger Morgan backing up Josh Willingham in left center field was not able to get it in quick enough, but it's a straight fastball today for Tyler Walker, and he's not able to get away with it at all with these hitters. It just shows you could throw 90, 95. Big league hitters can hit the straight fastballs.
Tigers out hitting the Nationals 11-2 today. Maglio Ordonez, one of those 11, a 3-run opposite field homer last time up. And he will be replaced here by Brendan Boesch. He rocks one to left. And the line drives keep on coming. You know what the batting average for the Tigers was this spring coming into this game? .330.
Well, another fastball by Walker on the outer half. Great job at hitting right there. Stick out the bat, hit it into left field, and that might be all for Tyler Walker. He might be on a pitch count. Steve McCaddy makes the long trip out.
And during these spring training games, managers and pitching coaches, they don't want to really bring in pitchers during innings.
Right.
They want you to finish your inning out, whether it's a 1 inning or 2 inning outing, whatever it is. But it kind of upsets the rhythm of what they want to do in terms of their pitching sequence if they have to go out and yank somebody during a frame.
And let me give you a quick scenario of that too. You know you have the next inning as a pitcher in spring training, so you're kind of going along with Tyler Walker. You're not getting ready like it's a regular season game and we got to kill this rally right here, so let me hurry up and get ready. You're kind of going along, taking your time, and we still have to hit in the bottom half of the inning, so you know, whoever's coming in behind Walker is probably not even ready to come in the game yet.
And that pitcher is scheduled to be left-hander Aaron Thompson.
And like you said, you know, Steve McCaddy and Jim Riggleman, they don't want Aaron to have to get ready to come in the middle of the inning, because now you may need someone to finish and pitch the 9th inning if you start going through your pitchers like that. And you can also learn a little bit. It's a bad day. I always pitched poorly in the spring. I mean, I remember one inning I gave up 8 runs to the Phillies, and I, you know, caused a little bit of damage on the back field. But, you know, the point being that you're still, they want to see things out of you, and sometimes it's battling adversity is what they need to see from you. They know, as Jim Riggleman said, you know, what you can accomplish in a regular season. They want to see what you got mentally right now.
1-2 to Cabrera. That fastball is lined to right center. Brandon Bosch heading for third. Gene Lamont will send him. And the Tigers are all over Tyler Walker here. 8-0 Detroit, with 6 of those runs now in the last 2 innings. And by the way, this inning started out 2 outs, nobody on. Carlos Guillen, the DH.
Oh, to watch the replay there too. I mean, Miguel Cabrera, one of the better hitters in the major leagues, went the other way with another fastball. And that's going to do it for Tyler Walker.
As well as Miguel Cabrera, as Jeff Larish will pinch run for him. Well, Walker had a chance, as we mentioned earlier this inning, to post a quick inning. He got the first 2, but 4 consecutive hits, 3 of them for extra bases, and the Nats are further into their bullpen here in a rough 6th inning. Well, it's all Tigers right now, out hitting the Nationals 13-2. It's 8-0. And our next Nationals telecast will be this Friday right here at Space Coast Stadium. 1 o'clock, the world champion Yankees. Victor Garate had a taste of major league action with the Nationals last year. He'll take over here against the DH Carlos Guillen, who turns around and bats from the right side.
Well, and the quote Chris Rock, the Tigers went Tiger on us today. They came to play some baseball here after Strasburg came out of the game.
Well, I'm sure some of our fans remember the Tigers visiting RFK Stadium a few years ago for interleague play. It was 3 days of the Rockets' red glare in our nation's capital. Their bats were unbelievable. I think the Indians came in and beat the Nats 2 out of 3, and then the Tigers came in and swept. That was a rough homestand, and I'm having flashbacks to the Tigers' bats right here. Pitch up, fouled back, 1-2. The Nationals will visit Cleveland and Detroit this year. And the White Sox and the Royals will come in for interleague play. We won't see the Twins. We've seen them a couple of times the last 2 years, 3 years. Tigers came into this game with 49 runs in 6 games, batting .330 with 6 home runs. They've added 2 homers onto that total today and put 8 tallies on the board. So their team batting average is right up around .340 this spring. And a pop-up, he jammed him. Nyjer Morgan. Inning is over. Took a while to put an end to that 6th inning. And it's all Tigers with the top of the order coming up. It took about 20 minutes today to find out how good Stephen Strasburg would look in his Nationals debut, but since then it's been rough. Strasburg, 2 singles, 2 strikeouts, facing 8 hitters in his 2 scoreless innings. But since then the Tigers have pounded out all 8 of their runs on 11 of their hits. Their new pitcher will be Eddie Bonine here as we go to the bottom of the 6th inning. And Nyjer Morgan, who bunted for a base hit last time up, will lead off. Nyjer then stole a base. The other half of the offense, a 1st inning single by Ryan Zimmerman. Ian Desmond stole a base in the 5th after walking to lead off.
Well, if you're the Nationals offense, you have to get yourself ready for the season. You can't control how poorly the pitching staff's getting beat up. You have to keep playing these games like they have meaning to you. You just can't look at that scoreboard.
Nats will be down in Jupiter to play the Cardinals tomorrow with Garrett Mock starting against Brad Penny. Back here on Thursday with John Lannon and Roy Oswalt for the Astros. Nyjer Morgan's on base again.
Good job.
We will be happy to see that about 205 times this year.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, maybe 180 and the rest can be bunts.
And Nyjer, remember, he's got a surgically repaired hand. His left hand is a lot of metal right now, and so I'm sure he's got to get that back into everyday shape, and he just takes that fastball right back up the middle.
Here's Christian Guzman, who has flied out to left and bounced to first.
When you have world-class speed like Nyjer Morgan, you don't have to do much at the plate. You just have to put the ball in play and then run like the wind.
I was laughing about what Mike said earlier, what Tommy Lasorda's quote, they shouldn't even keep score. Baseball fans would lose their minds, Rob, after sitting and watching snow for 4 months. I've had people tell me they know spring is around the corner when they see their first box score in the newspaper. You got to keep score, even though it's ugly some days. And Guzman's 0 for 3.
It won't matter if the Nationals go 0 for the spring if they have a great April and have a winning month. That's all you worry about. I mean, like I said before, some guys are working on certain things while they're pitching. Other hitters are working on maybe a new stance, or they've got some kind of soreness in a hamstring or whatever. We don't always know the entire story, and maybe Tyler Walker has a sore arm right now. You know, guys like Nyjer Morgan, you look at his numbers and his statistics, they're not going to be like that a month from now.
Ryan Zimmerman 1 for 2 with a base hit and a strikeout. Morgan is running. It is no contest at second base. 2 for 2 today Steel spikes leading the way both times.
Well, it's not even accomplishing the stolen base right here. He's working on the slide. And, you know, as you said, Lou Brock and, you know, Maury Wills and some of the best ever, they used to do this. That's the pop-up. He steals the base, pops right back up. If a throw goes into center field, he takes third base. So that's as much a work in progress as it is one of our biggest threats.
Yep. Here's another thing. If he does that early in a ball game, I guarantee you it gives the middle infielders something to think about for the next 8 innings. There is a fear factor there. And, Rob, it's just like a scouting report on a hitter or a pitcher. The word gets around pretty quickly, and then suddenly you have infielders who aren't nearly as aggressive as they used to be.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, for a pitcher and being in that scenario, and I had to face those Cardinals and all their speed at the end of the 80s and into the 90s, where every time you came in the game, if they had Willie McGee or Vince Coleman or anybody on base that had some speed, or Ozzie Smith, you were worried about that guy taking off, and it just changed the way you face the hitters.
Zimmerman unable to reach that breaking ball. Eddie Bonine snapping off a beauty.
Well, and you saw Perry go after Zim with nothing but breaking balls. That's respect. Even in the spring, Ryan Zimmerman's getting nothing but off-speed junk. And that's out of respect from what he did last year, winning the Silver Slugger in the National League at third base and the Gold Glove.
And going to the All-Star game. He IDs that one and takes it away 2-2.
But as you said, during the regular season, if Niger Morgan's on base with 1 out, you know, this guy's as much worried about Niger taking third because Niger could steal third and then a fly ball scores him. A lot of things when you get good guys with speed on base.
Broken bat, a ground ball hit behind Niger Morgan, who goes to third base on the second out. One more thing about Zimmerman and winning that Gold Glove. Once you win one, it almost becomes yours to lose. It'll be easier now for Ryan Zimmerman to win a Gold Glove than it will for David Wright or anybody else in the league because he's established himself, Rob, and he has taken the step into that fraternity. And it's kind of the nature of that particular award, that once you get one, people think about you on a whole nother level. And here's Willingham 0 for 2.
Well, and as we said at the end of last season too, Bob, I mean, he was seeing a lot of action at third base, a lot of hard balls, or a lot of balls hit hard right at him. And to come away with a Gold Glove, it just shows you how he stuck his nose in a lot of balls last year. Came up catching them. Yeah, I was getting on the official score some of those line drive shots that were hitting him in the forearm, and he was getting errors for him.
They don't call it the warm corner.
No.
It's a little hot down there.
Yep.
Crowd's booing. They tried to throw a foul ball into the stands twice, and it keeps getting fumbled. Willingham stepping back in now with a count of 0-2. Nats need to get on the board here. Any kind of 2-out hit will do that. He severely got jammed and pops it over by the dugout and heading out of play. By the way, an indication, and we're hoping to talk to Steven Strasburg when we come back from our next break. Leaving the hotel this morning, I ran into some journalists from TBS. What's the big deal about that? That means the Tokyo Broadcasting System. And I said, are you here to see Chin-Ming Wong? They said, we are here to see Mr. Strasburg.
Really?
There's some international interest in what happened here today.
It's outstanding.
How about that? Willingham, and it's right at the shortstop, Santiago. Nats got a leadoff hit and a steal from Morgan, and into the 7th inning. It's 8-0 Tigers. On to the top of the 7th inning here. Tigers leading the Nationals 8-0, but the game did start out scoreless for the first 3 innings, and 2 of those were pitched by Steven Strasburg, who joins us. Steven, you fell behind your first 2 hitters 2-0, and then you got them on ground balls and only threw 7 pitches in the first inning. When's the last time you had an inning like that?
I don't know. It's been such a long time since I faced live hitters. So, I was just trying to go out there and pound the strike zone. I was really excited to come out there and pitch and get this thing rolling. And very pleased with the way I was able to bounce back after falling behind the count a few times and getting some ground ball outs.
I'm sure everybody and their brothers had some kind of advice for you. What's the strangest advice someone gave you about going out there today?
I don't know, nothing really strange. You got such great guys in the clubhouse here. I think the thing that they were stressing with me is just to go out there and have fun. This is a spring training game. First time being on the mound, since the fall league. So it's been a long time, and I was just excited to get out there and face some big league hitters and see what I have.
Well, and you were pretty economical. You probably could have gone 4 or 5 innings, but did you accomplish everything that you wanted to do today?
Yeah, I think I didn't really set any goals today. I just want to go out there and get my feet wet. This is it's a different breed, and there was a lot of anticipation around this debut. So I just wanted to go out there and have fun and really try and harness my adrenaline. There was times where it kind of got a little too crazy, and I was speeding up a little too much. But for the most part, I was able to kind of work with it, and it's kind of learned a few things that I'm going to try and work on in between and have a down pack for my next start.
And Thompson throws one, fouled back by Don Kelly. Stephen, one of the things that'll stay in my mind was that 3-2 breaking ball you threw to Brent DeLugash to end the second inning. Any doubt in your mind at all that you were committed to that pitch on 3-2?
It was great because I kind of had a thing in the back of my head. I was like, man, I want to throw a 3-2 breaking ball here, and me and Will were on the same page, and I was committing to it, all the way. I wasn't going to throw just a hanging breaking ball in there. I was going to power it down there, and if it was for a strike, I got him, and if it was for a ball, hopefully he swung and put it in play. But I was definitely ready to throw a 3-2 breaking ball there.
And for your first professional, baseball spring training, how do you feel, and how much fun has it been?
Oh, I feel great. This is a tremendous atmosphere, and all the guys are. I'm able to learn from a lot of the veteran guys on this team, and it's such a great experience, and I've learned so much so far, and I just can't wait to get out there on the mound again.
Well, Stephen, nice job today. We're proud of you, buddy, and we're glad that you've gotten this day under your belt. Now you can go relax and do your work, so go enjoy it, and it was a pleasure watching you today.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
Thanks, Stephen.
All right. Stephen Strasburg, an outstanding outing today. And the Nats left-hander Aaron Thompson getting a couple of outs here to start off the top of the 7th inning.
And the biggest thing for Stephen is whether they're major league hitters, college, high school, they're just hitters. They're going to fail 7 out of 10 times. Those are the best ones at this level. So you try to keep it simple. Don't overthink it. Don't think that these guys are any better than you, or whether they're making $18 million, $20 million, $27 million a year. That means nothing. He's still a baseball player. You're still a baseball pitcher. And with his ability, he can get away with a lot of mistakes. He's gonna hang breaking balls. He's gonna throw fastballs up. But to go out there with the right approach is most of the battle.
Brent DeLugash, the hitter here. Aaron Thompson's from Santa Fe, New Mexico. After the Nats obtained him last year, he went 0-3 with a 3.31 ERA in 6 starts at AA Harrisburg. That ball will blow well out of play. Youngest player in camp behind the plate. We met him at the ballpark last year. And there's Derek Norris, a peek into the future.
Yep, 20-year-old catcher. I saw Levon Hernandez running around on a backfield. One of our older players in camp, Ron Ballone. See, it's fun being me now because now I can heckle them while they're running. You can get away with it.
That's Mike Morse over there playing third base in place of Ryan Zimmerman. Thompson throws 3 ground balls, and we'll see some of the young Nats with the bats when we come back to Vieira. Nationals baseball on MASN, brought to you by your Washington Ford dealers. Your local Ford dealer invites you to experience Ford like never before. Ford, drive one. 7th inning stretch time for 4,305 here at Space Coast Stadium with the Nationals trailing. Hey, we have a really interesting bobblehead bunch coming up. By the way, one of Florida's native creatures taking up residence under the roof here at the ballpark. All-Star Ryan Zimmerman and speedster Nigel Morgan, bobblehead nights, they're set for the season, but who will be the third? You will be the ones who decide. It's up to you fans. Visit the fans page at nationals.com and vote for your favorite National to be featured as a bobblehead this season. That'll be a lot of fun, and you guys pay your good money for those single game tickets, season tickets, and you determine that promotion. That'll be sweet. Here's Adam Kennedy. Eddie Bonine still on the mound for the Tigers. Bottom of the 7th rolls around. Kennedy 0 for 2 with a ground ball, a strikeout, and this fly ball to the gap in right center, and that will one-hop the wall, and Adam Kennedy's into second base with a leadoff double. Nationals' first extra base hit today.
Wow. He's a very good contact guy, and you see that nice sweet swing that he has, and you put it in his wheelhouse and he gets extension. He's got home run potential. Now it's up to Ian Desmond. And, you know, you try to forget the score here, Bob, and you say, okay, you got a guy on second, no outs. What's my job? What am I supposed to do? You can't worry about your individual stats right here. You need to show the evaluators in that dugout you're capable of moving him over to third.
Yeah, because from April on, it's not often going to be 8-0 at this stage of a game. Might be 2-0, and that's a very important 90 feet you're picking up. Trying to keep him from hitting it to that side. He jams in and he takes it.
I'm going to change what Bob Uecker said about pitchers and just put it to baseball players. The most dangerous 6 inches between a guy's ears is his brain, and it's true. And you know, don't overthink it. Try to put something on the ground to the right side. Do your job. You know, simplify. When you get in a jam and you start to, you know, the thing about a ball player's head is you start panicking. You know, when you get in a pressure situation, it speeds everything up. You start overthinking it. Try to slow it down. What am I supposed to do right here? You know, what's expected of me?
2-1.
But Uecker said the most dangerous 6 inches between a pitcher's ears is his brain. So.
And catchers are supposed to be your buddies.
I love my catchers, though. All the guys I played with.
Well, you had to swing at that one. It was in her half on 2 strikes. Can't let it go. I was wondering how long it would take for our first Joe Oliver reference this year.
Big Joe.
Because I know you love throwing.
I love Joe Oliver. And he lives about an hour from here in Orlando. And his son is quite the ball player now.
Breaking ball, good identification by Ian, who works the count full. He walked his last time up and stole second.
And some of my former teammates, I mean, Jack Armstrong's son is highly sought after. I think he's going to a Division I school. Eddie Williams, who was a third baseman with me, he was a first-round pick of the Mets. He was telling me about his son in high school now. Makes you feel old when all the kids are now starting to play almost pro ball.
That's a nasty running fastball to the inside corner, and Desmond is gone.
Well, and in that situation, Bob, you talked about with 2 strikes just trying to stay alive and make contact. Well, okay, there's a guy on second with no outs. Forget him. You can't go down looking for a pitch on the outer half. You got to make contact and protect there. That would have been maybe a double down the third baseline, maybe a home run. You don't know. I mean, you still have to be a hitter when you get behind with 2 strikes.
Chris Duncan, the hitter. Josh Weitzel is next. So with the exception of Will Nieves, looks like everybody in the starting lineup will get 3 at-bats today. Will's already been replaced by Derek Norris. And Duncan into left, but it's right at Cleat Thomas. 2 outs. .67 degrees, cloudy and breezy in Vieira, Florida today. Glad you're with us here on MASN HD at Space Coast Stadium. Rob's alongside. I'm Bob Carpenter. Debbie Taylor roaming the ballpark as always. We've got all of our team back together this year. Johnny and Ray in the studio. We'll see those guys in about 3 weeks. And here's Josh Weitzel, the DH. 0 for 2 today, 2 for 5 this spring.
Oh, it's nice to be back to work with you, Mr. Carpenter.
I missed you, man.
I missed you too.
And you have seen your XM radio show shift to the early morning hours from 7 to 10 Eastern, right?
So I can spend much more time with you and the Nationals in the afternoons.
Well, I got news for you, buddy. When we're in the Central and the Western time zones, there is no way my hotel room is going to be next door to yours.
Well, and I've really been annoying my wife at home because I've been waking up at 3 a.m. to do 4 to 7 in L.A., and she's not happy. Now, I don't sleep much anyway, so I don't mind the morning shift.
So you're on the air at 4 o'clock when you're home?
Yes, the last month I've been on. Wow. Monday through Friday, 4 a.m.
I think we're going to have to talk to Rob McDonald this year. On the road, Rob Dibble is on a floor all his own.
Is my voice that bad? Does it come right through right through the walls?
You
and
have
wake
a
you
great
up?
voice, but it does have it's kind of like fly balls to right field. Here it carries. That'll do
Thank
it.
you.
Weitzel is gone. We're on to the 8th inning. Nats get a double. That's been it. It's 8-0 Detroit. On we go to the top of the 8th inning. 8 is the Tigers' number. They've outscored the Nats big time today and out-hit them 13-4. Now, there is some interesting news we need to pass your way regarding possibly the next 15 or 20 minutes of our broadcast here. Because of a solar outage, and the sun is still up there, believe me, it's not gone. But we may experience a temporary disruption in our broadcast just after 3:30 this afternoon. It's because a solar outage is a phenomenon when the sun crosses the equator and traces an arc that places it right behind the broadcast satellite used for transmitting our ball game. The solar radiation interferes with the microwave transmission and the frequencies that we use to communicate with the satellite, essentially swamping the signal from the satellite for a brief period. Now that may occur between 3:31 and 3:41 this afternoon. So if you lose your transmission of our game, and this one could be over by then, we'll wait and see, as Aaron Thompson gets a ground ball that Eric Bruntlett handles at shortstop. Will Nieves had the chance to catch Steven Strasburg for a couple of innings today, and he's with Debbie Taylor.
All right, thank you very much, Bob. And Will, I have to ask you, what did you think of Steven Strasburg? You probably had the best view in the house.
Yeah, no, he was great. He was. I was surprised he was calm. You know, he wasn't too excited, too anxious, and it was fun catching him. He had great stuff, like I seen in the bullpen before, and he showed it today. You know, in those 2 innings.
A lot of people have told me that this is a kid that really has great character. And just tell me what you've seen from him so far as a person.
Great guy. He's a great guy. He doesn't let all this stuff going around him, you know, get into his head. He's just a regular guy, nice guy. He's going to be a great pitcher. If, hopefully he stay healthy. You know, we're going to pray for him, and he's going to be good. But he's a great kid. He wants to learn, and he's a great pitcher. He's fun to catch him.
Were you trying to work with him too on his mechanics and keep his shoulder in check?
Sometimes he tried to throw a little bit harder. You know, he wanna probably hit 100 in the gun, but he was throwing so nice. You know, nice and smooth, and he was throwing 97. So he's when he tried to throw harder, you know, he was open, and I just told him, you're just nice and easy, you know, stay close, and he did it, and he threw pretty good pitches.
Who's impressed you in camp? You've been able to work with so many young pitchers this spring.
He's one of them. The other one is
Drew Storn?
Drew Storn, yeah. Drew Storn, he's another guy who can pitch. And those two guys, I haven't seen him before. I saw him this spring, and they have great arms. They can throw strike, and they have more than 3 good pitches, you know, with them. So those two guys, they impress me the most.
Well, what's it been like for you to work alongside a future Hall of Famer in Pudge Rodriguez?
I always say he's a blessing. You know, when I first started catching, he was one of the guys that I admire as a catcher, the way he played the game and he goes about it. And now having him, you know, in the same team, I just want to learn everything I can from him. because I know my game will improve. You know, just trying to just learn anything I can from him. So another great guy. I met him before, but we never had the opportunity to hang out in the same team. So he's just a great guy, great player, and a better person.
Okay, just like you. Yeah. Thanks, Will. Right, let's go back upstairs.
Thank you, Debbie. And yeah, I was having some of that same conversation with Will this morning before the ball game, and we were kidding and joking around as Will said, man, I'd rather catch Strasburg than try to hit against him. That sinker that he has to go with his four-seamer, the two different breaking balls, and then the potentially devastating changeup. You know, and Will told me, Rob, and I know this is something you would look at, that changeup that Strasburg throws is harder than anybody else's, but it still has the down and away movement that you're looking for.
Well, and it's the differential. I mean, when you throw 95, 98, whatever that is, if you throw a pitch 75, 78, there's 20 mile an hour off that pitch. Whether it's a curveball, changeup, or whatever, that differential for Strasburg will get you through the lineup 3-4 times. So here you see Thompson with the pitch right here, over the top, nice fastball on the outside black. Our pitch track had it just below the strike zone, but spring training, give the kid the strike.
Thompson is a starter, and after retiring 5 batters, that's the first hitter that's been on base. This is Brennan Bosch, who replaced Maglio Ordonez after he singled a run home back in the 6th. And I love what Will told me last week after I witnessed a throwing session over in the side field by Drew Storen. He was talking about Storen's sinker being very heavy, which means if you hit it, it's going to pound your hands right down into the ground. But Will also said that Drew Storen's sinker had very late action to it. And Rob, that's something that I haven't heard real often. I thought that was interesting.
Oh, yeah, and the kid throws strikes, too. So, I mean, he's got so many things in his corner already in just the 3 months he's been in the organization. I think, you know, whether it's Strasburg or Storen, and you got Jordan Zimmerman when he comes back will be a mid-90s throwing guy. You know, you continue to build a stable full of these great arms. Not only are they going to pitch for you in the major leagues, but you can work trades when you're trying to win divisions. And people will go after your young pitching talent as quickly as anything you have in your organization. So the more you have of them, I think the better this organization is going to be. I mean, even this year, you have the first pick in the draft again. You've got some really good catchers in this organization, including Flores, who's what, 25? Norris is 20. You don't have to make it Bryce Harper. Yeah. You could go out and get another pitcher this year. If there's another guy that's similar to Strasburg or David Price or somebody of that caliber, even Tim Lincecum, go grab him, because there's just not that many great pitchers out there.
And the 0-2 to Bosch. Thompson keeps pumping strikes. Good breaking ball low and away. And the Tigers will strand a runner. A couple of zeros on the board for Thompson. We go bottom 8. And Derek Norris will be the scheduled leadoff hitter. On to the bottom of the 8th inning. Derek Norris will lead off. Then the top of the order. And this year on MASN, we come at you from all angles, whether it's on HD every game or it might be from MASNsports.com. And Debbie, we have a new person who is highly qualified to do that.
Business, Ben Gessling, sports writer extraordinaire, and you can get all of his hard work on MASNsports.com. And let's start off by talking a little bit about just the buzz of Stephen Strasburg and the excitement this spring.
Yeah, it's been a pretty different vibe from anything I've seen in the 2 previous springs I've been covering the team. Obviously, you see all the national media here today, and you see the attention, and you see the TV broadcast, obviously. There's a hype about this kid that's not like anything else that's been around with the Nationals before. You know, Ryan Zimmerman's kind of the face of the team, but there's really nothing that's commanded the kind of national attention and just buzz that this kid does. And you saw it today. You saw the fastball. You saw the slider that dives like it. Sir Tom Boswell from the Washington Post talked like it dove like a bird hit it. I mean, you see all that stuff, and you see why this kid gets the kind of attention that he does.
And just overall, this team has had a makeover in the offseason. What do you think of the ball club?
Well, it's, I mean, I wouldn't put a lot of stock into the early results here. I mean, the results in the field obviously haven't been great, but, you know, they've added some guys that have won championships before. They added Pudge Rodriguez. They added Adam Kennedy. They added Jason Marquis. They've added a lot of guys to this club that have been there before, and there's a little bit more of a veteran presence to it. And you don't have guys like Ryan Zimmerman, who's 25 years old, having to set the tone. So I think all that stuff is probably, you're not looking at a contending team yet, but a club that's definitely headed in the right direction.
And finally, Ben, tell us a little bit about what you will be doing this season with us.
Yeah, I'm right now writing for the website quite a bit, MASNsports.com, writing daily stuff there, writing different pieces, analysis, kind of. If there's breaking news, we do that. Every day during the game, we have an in-game chat going, so you can go on there, and I'll be providing in-game updates, analysis, and you can just go talk about the team on there. And I'm doing a lot of stuff on Twitter. I'm at MASN Ben. And then I'll be doing some stuff during the pre- and post-game shows during the season, too, just going on the show and talking about the team. And eventually here we'll have a video blog with Mike Rizzo going, so you'll be able to write in your questions, and he'll answer those, and we'll have a one-on-one thing with Rizzo every week.
Lots of good stuff. Welcome aboard, Ben. Guys, back up to you.
All right, Debbie, thank you. Great to have Ben aboard, a very knowledgeable baseball guy. And at times during the season, Debbie and Rob and I will be contributing our blogs to MASNsports.com. Just look for the Nats main page when you go to the home page, and off you go. And by the way, when we write our blogs, we really love it when you reply to them, and we get a little thread of our own going, and we can chat about different things about the ball club. So Justin Maxwell has drawn a walk. Here's Eric Bruntlett, for several years a very valuable utility guy, part-time starter with the Houston Astros. Every ball club needs players like this, and Eric Bruntlett's trying to make the Nats. Tough to come to camp these days as a non-roster player, and it's all about immediate results. I mean, you don't get 30 at-bats to show them what you can do. You might get 10 or 15, and you might get some innings in the field here and there. 2-1 pitch. He'll take that fastball low. Third inning of work, by the way, for the Tigers' Eddie Bonine.
Bob, correct me if I'm wrong. Willie Harris was the only player on this roster last year that had other than Levon Hernandez later in the year, that had a World Series ring, right?
Until Ronnie Belliard. Did Ronnie have one? He was on a team.
Yeah, Ronnie was with the Cardinals too.
Yep.
So this year, what Mike Rizzo has done, bringing in leadership guys and guys that have been in the postseason, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, including one with a minor league contract. I mean, that's Bruntlett. You got Kennedy, Bruni, Duncan if he makes the club, Chen-Ming Wong, Miguel Batista if he makes the club, and Levon Hernandez again. I mean, you've got a lot more experience in that clubhouse, and so what Ben was talking about is right on the money. You don't have to put it all on the shoulders of Ryan Zimmerman. You definitely don't have to put it all on the shoulders of Strasburg. It's going to take a team effort to change the culture in that clubhouse, and once you change that culture from a losing culture to a winning culture, and I talked to Rocco Baldelli this morning, as a matter of fact, and he was with the Rays years ago, and remember when Lou Piniella said to Carl Crawford and Baldelli, you're going to be starting from me come the start of the season. A lot of pressure on those fine young players.
Great swing by Mike Morse, and Pat Listash holds the runner. The bases are loaded with one out.
8-0 game, you hold the runner. You don't send the guy. You don't want to make the second out at home plate. But the bottom line is, Baldelli was there long enough to see the culture change from a losing organization for 10, 11 straight years to winning, going from 66 wins to 97. So it's just a question of talent and leadership as Jim Leland goes and he takes the ball from his pitcher.
Well, that was the third inning for Eddie Bonine. And the Nationals obviously have their best scoring opportunity of the day because of 2 walks and a base hit. And Roger Bernadima coming up further into the Tiger bullpen when we bring you back to Vieira. Late in the ball game, Nationals making some noise here. Roger Bernadina coming up. And a reminder, we're just a couple minutes away from something we warned you about 15 minutes ago. A possible solar outage today that occurs when the sun crosses the equator and interferes with our television signals because of the position of the broadcast satellite. We were told that could happen between 3:31 and 3:41 Eastern time today. So that could be the next couple of minutes. So we'll see if the Nats can hurry up and score some runs before the planets a line in the wrong way around our sun.
Okay, I have level 80 sunscreen on. Is that enough
I don't
for this
think so.
solar flare?
I don't think so. I thought you looked a little pale today.
I've been pale all of my life, Bob.
Roger Bernardina, that ball gets away, and that's how the Nats will get on the board. Didn't appear to be that wild of a pitch. Could be ruled a pass ball. It's 8-1 now. Runners at second and third with one out.
Well, and you see you got
that's pass ball.
The catcher, number 86.
I think that's Robinson Diaz.
So Robinson Diaz probably has not caught this guy an awful lot, and so they got a little crossed up, and that looked like a catchable ball there too by Diaz.
That wasn't in the dirt. Roger Bernardina could knock in a couple with a base hit here. Good to see Roger back playing after that horrible broken leg he suffered last year. And this is a guy who can flat out fly.
Yeah, he can give Nigel Morgan a run for his money. I'd like to see these two once this kid's 100%, and I hope he's 100% right now.
But this is one of those guys we were talking about when we were wishing that there were a bunch more outfield spots you could put on a ball club, because this would really be something with speed. 2-1 to Roger. He'll lay off that pitch in the dirt.
But once again, Bob, I mean, the more talent that you possess, and you see people going down all the time. I mean, you know, right now, Russ Martin's out 4 to 6 weeks with a bad groin, or you see Alex Gordon with a broken thumb, and now you see Joe Nathan going down. Guys get hurt every day. And so there's always room on other people's rosters for talented guys like a Bernardina if he doesn't fit into your organization.
Bernardina takes the walk, and the bases are loaded again. That's a good at bat by Roger.
Yes, it is.
And here's Alberto Gonzalez. Alberto came in to replace Adam Kennedy at second base last inning. Now, this is an ideal situation for Alberto, because you have a pitcher that doesn't want to walk you. He's a kid with a good knowledge of the strike zone, and he is at his best when he stays on the ball and takes it up the middle or through the right side. When he gets frisky and tries to pull the ball, you see ground balls to the third baseman. That's a breaking ball that's outside, and right now, pitcher's not going to get that call from a veteran umpire, in this case Paul Nard, after he's been struggling with strikes.
Agreed. Make him throw you a strike before you offer, and whatever you do, don't hit into a double play.
Fastball, and Alberto did stay on that ball and tried to drive it the other way. But I think it's pretty obvious the Nationals envision him as a utility player. They tried to bring in Orlando Hudson. They did bring in Adam Kennedy. Ian Desmond can move around. So here's a guy fighting for a job.
Oh, yeah, well, you've got Eric Bruntlett in camp, and that's a guy that's been to the World Series the last few years, has a World Series ring with the Phillies. He's a very talented guy, and you see him over there at third base. So it's not going to be easy for Alberto. So you've got to show the guys evaluating your career right now, which is in their hands, whether you stay or go by what you do right in situations like this.
1-2, he has to protect. Breaking ball strikes him out. The key pitch there was when Alfredo Figueroa got that fastball under his hands for strike two, because there was nothing he could do with that pitch.
Agreed, and he set up the breaking ball well, and it doesn't even have to be a great breaking ball. It's just getting to 2 strikes, setting the stage for the breaking ball, and give Diaz a lot of credit. He blocked the ball too. It was in the dirt.
Yep.
It was a swinging, going away ball, and he blocked it, got in front of it. So it's a nice job if you are evaluating the talent on the Tigers.
Good play after that pass ball he had earlier. And here's Ian Desmond. A chance to add to his RBI total in the spring of 7.
I think that solar flare's choking us up. We're both having trouble talking.
I have felt a definite disturbance in my transmission here at the last minute or two.
The force is strong with this one. Well, it turned into a beautiful day, though. It's now 70 degrees.
Yeah. Not sunny, but looks like it's trying to peak out a little bit. There's a drive to left center. That's
Nice.
going to score 2, maybe 3. Bernardina held at third, and the Nationals get a couple of more runs. And Ian Desmond now has 9 RBIs this spring. He is 7 for 14, and he's on base for the second time today.
Well, Ian Desmond is making the choice very difficult right now. Although Christian Guzman, I think he's due $8 million this year. If you make it so hard that they have to keep you and you go north with the team, it's worth it to the evaluators. And Ian Desmond, a kid that had some flashes of greatness last year at the end of the season. That's what they love to see, a young kid coming into spring training still hungry.
Chris Duncan takes one off the plate. Chris 0 for 3 today.
Oh, and this is a great spot for Chris right here. If he can get an RBI single here with 2 outs, that would help his chances a lot more. Well, and I know the record doesn't reflect the talent in that clubhouse. And we talked to Jim Riggleman about it. I mean, you're trying to get all these guys you have to evaluate some reps. And there's just not enough games in the spring training. Like you said, we've got a ton of talented guys in that clubhouse. Just trying to get every one of them 4 at-bats every day, whether it's on the minor league side or up in these games.
That's why Jim made the point. Real game over on the side field today with umpires, no simulated game. Guys need game condition.
Oh, yeah, even split squads and playing in early games and then playing in the game at night. And there's a good pitch over the top fastball.
But if you're behind everybody, you don't get that call.
No, and you're not. If you're erratic and you're all over the place, the umpire's not going to be staying on top of that pitch.
Duncan takes the 3-0 pitch down the middle.
Well, Duncan's already taken a 3-2 fastball for strike 3 today, so I doubt he's going to let 3-1 or 3-2 go by him without a swing.
Big guy who stands well off the plate. You'd look at where he is and think he might be susceptible to that pitch. 3-1 delivery here. And he goes to left field. Bernardina scores. And Desmond is held. It's now 8-4.
Nice job.
Well, sometimes big power guys have to become Punch and Judy hitters when you need a single bag here.
But it was a great job, Bob. You know, he just stayed on the fastball. It was away from him on the outside black, and he just smacked it into left field. I mean, he knew a 2-out hit would be huge right there. I don't know if I necessarily hold Desmond up. I make that kid throw him out at the plate. But the point being, it was a great job of hitting by Duncan with 2 outs to pick up that RBI.
This all started after 1 out with a leadoff, or rather a 1-out walk to Justin Maxwell. Then Bruntlett walked. Mike Morrison opposite field hit. Bernardino walked. Ian Desmond pulled 1 for 2 runs into the gap. And then another opposite field hit, this time by Chris Duncan. So Josh Weitzel is the 9th Nat to bat here in the 8th. And now it's an 8-4 game. Weitzel the DH, 0 for 3, ground ball to third, liner to second, swinging strikeout. And the young catcher Derek Norris is on deck to hit again in this inning. There's no borderline when you're falling behind.
Well, and as we said too, you know, Bonine was maybe scheduled to go 3 today, like Porcello, and Figueroa was probably going along with him, and he might not have been loose. But now you better be loose by all the pitches you just threw.
Didn't think he was pitching till the 9th inning.
That had some giddy up on it.
Josh Weitzel was trying to make this an 8-7 game with a fly ball into that jet stream.
What I wanted to say about Duncan, you didn't have to do too much with his at bat. Just put the ball in play, make contact, and he got a nice single. Right here, Weitzel is going for the downs out in right center field.
Would have been ball 3.
Now you just want to put the ball in play. Pick up another RBI for the team. Hey, now he's getting loose. That one was couple mile an hour faster than the first strike. 91 on the swinging strike. This is 93 on the black. And that's getting up there in a hurry. Tried to trick him with a changeup, Bob.
Sailed on him.
That was kind of ugly.
And if he allows Weitzel to get on, the tying run comes up to the plate in an inning where the Nats started down 8 runs. Duncan will be running at first. They're playing behind him. 3-2 pitch.
Oh.
And you got to be careful if the pitcher does step off, even though there's no first baseman. That should be a balk when the first baseman's not even on the bag. I mean, he's 30 feet away.
I know. Nobody falls for that over to third to first deal.
Talk about delay of game. Get rid of that play. And it's high in the air to center. The Nationals will send 9 men to the plate and score 4 into the 9th inning. Now it's Tigers 8 and Nationals 4. On to the 9th inning here. Palm trees waving in Central Florida. And a reminder that if you purchase a 4-game Grand Slam Flex plan, you get a 5th game free this year. They start as low. The plans do it $68 per seat. That's not per game, that's per plan. Visit nationals.com/Grand Slam or call 202-675-NATS. Spend less, get more. Go Nats. A lot of youngsters at the ballpark today. Sun is trying to peek through finally here. After our solar flare.
Is it over yet?
It should be. If you haven't lost us by now, we're going to be in your living room for the rest of the afternoon until this one's over. Top of the 9th inning, Atahualpa Severino is the Nationals' 6th pitcher of the day. Jeff Larish, the first baseman for the Tigers. He replaced Miguel Cabrera. After Miguel went 1 for 4 with an RBI hit. A reminder, the Nationals' next TV date will be right here Friday afternoon. The Yankees are here. The Braves on Monday night. And then the 24th in Tampa against the Yanks over at Legends Field. And our final spring game will be when the Red Sox come in on the final Saturday before opening day. And then it's the Phillies.
Who do you think is going to start for the Phillies opening day, Bob?
I think it'll be a Halliday type day.
The guy that came in from Toronto,
I like
Toronto
his,
Express.
I like his chances.
Oi!
Hey, he can't be any tougher on the Nats than Cliff Lee was. He's
True.
pretty good. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Larish. Fastball tails inside. For the first time this year, our copyrighted telecast, in HD by the way, presented by authority of the Washington Nationals, and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Washington Nationals. Bob Carpenter, Rob Dibble, Debbie Taylor. Chip Winfield, our brilliant producer, again leads our MASN crew into a new season. We're looking forward to it.
Well, everybody in the truck is back from last year, Bob. We need some more exceptional work being done by our crew.
That's right.
And what'd you say? We have a new robotic camera in the press box?
They're saying robotic camera. It was plural, robotic cameras.
Cameras? How are we supposed to sneak food in between innings and stuff? You know?
There will be a way. 2-0 now, and Atahualpa Severino having a hard time finding the plate. Ryan Strebe has replaced Carlos Guillen here as the DH. And he misses on 4 in a row. Here's a former Net and a good guy, Corey Casto, trying to make the Tigers. And Corey's finest moment as a National came 2 summers ago, not far from his home in Oregon, when the Nats went to Seattle and swept the Mariners in a weekend series, and he hit his first major league homer to help win the Sunday game. It rattled off the right field fair pole.
I was going to say, it's not easy to do. Safeco's a pitcher's park.
It is.
And speaking about pitching, Steve McCatty is going to make a trip out there to the mound.
This will not be a pleasant visit.
Well, I'm sure Kitty Cat's going to tell him, listen, we just got 4 runs back. Throw it over the plate. Give us a chance to maybe come all the way back. Don't give them some runs right here.
I know our friends in Syracuse hated to lose Steve to the Nats last year. But there was a marked improvement in the staff and the overall feel of things when Steve came in and Jim Riggleman took over as manager, and now we'll see how it goes this year. We wish Manny Acta well. Manny,
yes,
his new assignment in Cleveland.
Randy St. Clair, his new assignment with the Marlins as their pitching coach.
And it'll be interesting when the Nationals go to Cleveland to take on the Indians against their ex-manager.
Yeah, what interleague play? We have the American League Central this year.
Central this year.
So we will see the Tigers.
And of course, the home and home as usual with the Orioles. The battle of the Beltways at Detroit, at Cleveland, and then the White Sox and the Royals will come to our nation's capital. One ball and 2 strikes to Corey Casto. That's a breaking ball that was probably a strike, but when you've walked 2 people, that shoebox gets a little smaller. Two and 2.
Souvenir for the fans.
Ballpark holds just over 7,000. Announced attendance of 4,305 today. There will be more here on Friday when the World Champions are here. In fact, I'm sensing a ballpark takeover at about 1 o'clock on Friday. I thought it was interesting in that story in USA Today yesterday that, and this one popped up, that'll be infield fly rule in effect, caught by Eric Bruntlett. No unassisted triple play for you that time, Eric. He's done it before. But I thought it was interesting how they singled out the Yankees and the Red Sox as the slowest playing teams in baseball, whether they're playing each other or anybody else. And for some reason, it seems like the Yankees and the Red Sox tell the rest of baseball how they're going to play the game, and nobody's going to change it, whether it be Papelbon with his warm-up throws or everything else going on. Here's the catcher, Robinson Diaz.
And the tickets at Yankee Stadium last year were quite expensive. So
they're getting their time's worth, is what you're saying?
Absolutely. You know what? It's like a good Broadway show or an opera. Give them their money's worth. Keep them here for 4.5 hours. We took 2 out of 3 in their ballpark from the Yankees last year.
Sure did. I have to say, though, that the most puzzling sequence of the 3 days we spent at Yankee Stadium was during our 6-hour rain delay on the final day, when I looked up, and just beyond Monument Park, there was a demonstration on the video board of how to prepare sea bass from their stadium club. And I'm thinking, this is Yankee Stadium. And we're preparing sea bass during a rain delay. It's got a screwball look to that thing, doesn't he? Kind of turns it over.
Yes.
Severe down and away movement from a right-hander. A former Tiger did that very well, Willie Hernandez, back in the 80s. One of the best screwballing left-handers ever. 2-1. Whatever momentum the Nationals had grabbed in the bottom of the 8th inning has been deflated here by Atahualpa Severino being all over the place in the top of the 9th. He's in danger of walking the bases full here.
Do you think that solar flare had anything to do with that 4-run outburst about a half hour ago?
You know, that's an interesting theory. Seems to have as much credibility as many of the theories out there these days. 3-2 pitch with 1 out. He'd sure love a ground ball, wouldn't he? The runners are going. It's a little flare that'll drop into center. The runner at second base, Larish, kept going. Ryan Strebe, the runner going to second, was decoyed by Kristen Guzman and had no idea, pardon me, not by Guzman, by Bruntlett and Gonzalez, and had no idea where the ball was going, but it's now 9-4.
Well, it was an even count there, and Diaz tries to extend the hands. He gets jammed, but it's a perfectly placed jam shot into center field.
Here's Brent DeLugosh, 1 for 4 today. Now, Rob, we started this day, of course, focusing on Stephen Strasburg. And a fly ball to center for Justin Maxwell. The wind is pushing it. Max will stay with it and make the catch for the second out. After you've pitched 2 innings in your first outing, how long is it now before you pitch again? That's not a regular outing.
It's not a regular outing, and they'll probably want him, maybe not in a game situation, to pitch in 2 days, maybe down in a minor league situation in a B game or facing some live actions. If they probably want him to go maybe 10% more and throw 40 to 50 pitches in his next outing to get him towards 100 by the time he leaves spring training. He might be in a live game. You never know.
Broken bat. Bruntlett gets it up the middle to Gonzalez. And Severino rallies to keep it a 1-run inning. Bottom of the 9th coming up. Derek Norris to lead off. Tigers 9-4. On to the bottom of the 9th inning. And it'll be Derek Norris, Justin Maxwell, and Eric Bruntlett. But the story of this day, not the final result, the score, what this game was going to be, but Rob, it was the debut of Stephen Strasburg, and it went quite well.
And it went quite well. The future is now, and not so much how much you paid for him, as you've been waiting to see what you paid for, and he did just that. He delivered, had great stuff, great velocity on the fastball, great breaking stuff, even behind in the count. You see him blowing away Miguel Cabrera there with a fastball, and then right here, 2 men on, 3-2 pitch, and he throws that beautiful breaking ball for strike 3. So it was as much a win-win situation with the mental aspect of Stephen's game today that everybody was watching. That's what Steve McCaddy said to me off the air. He said, listen, he said, this kid's off-speed stuff and the fact that he can throw it at will anytime in the count, that's going to make him a successful major league pitcher. Not just the blazing fastball. It's being able to recognize in a pressure situation the hitter is looking for the hard stuff, and you drop a 3-2 breaking ball in there in your first ever spring training game. I'm very impressed by that.
Tim Foley alongside. And the bottom of the ninth coming up. The new pitcher is Jay Spores, who is a native of Washington, D.C. 25-year-old right-hander who pitched at the single-A, double-A, and triple-A levels for the Tigers last year. 1 game at Lakeland, 14 at Erie, and then 2 at Toledo. Once a mud hen, always a mud hen. Here's Derek Norris, who led off with a ground ball last inning.
You asked me at the end of last inning about Strasburg. I forgot to mention, if he's sore tomorrow, if he comes in from, throwing hard today and, first time he's faced live real hitters since he was in college, where it really, really mattered. Everybody's eyes were on him other than Instructional League and the Arizona Fall League. If he's sore tomorrow, then you take it easy with him. You don't have to force him. The beauty of spring training is you don't have to force anything out of Steven Strasburg or any of your pitchers. When they come up a little bit sore or you want to push him back a day, you have that luxury.
I was just wondering if he feels great tomorrow. Is there a possibility to see him again as early as Friday or maybe next Monday when we televise on those 2 days?
Well, they may want him to already start his routine of throwing on the side in 2 days. You just throw in your bullpen, work on a few things mechanically, and then come back on your full rest of 4 days and pitch on that 5th day and come back and say, go 50. I mean, Porcello, this was his second outing of the spring. He went 3 innings. So that was probably 10% more than his first outing.
He gave up 2 hits, 1 strikeout. Didn't walk anybody, did not allow the Nats to score. And a 3-1 pitch is a strike to Norris.
Remember the Tigers with Verlander back when they went to the World Series. He was thrust into the big leagues maybe a little earlier than expected, and then he had a couple years after that he looked a little bit tired and fatigued, and then last year Verlander was amazing again and got a huge extension.
Nationals had their leadoff man aboard for the 4th time in the last 5 innings. Justin Maxwell is next. He walked last inning to get things going. The Nats would load the bases, score 3 runs on RBI hits by Desmond and Duncan.
Bob, as we talked about, even though it was 8-0 at one point in this game, the Nationals have continued to play and continue to score runs and do things that you want to see a good ball club do. You can't control the pitching. You just got to go out there and do what you're capable of doing. If they could get up to maybe double figures in hits and get 5-6 runs, I would think offensively, and with Strasburg today, there was a couple of really good positive things. It's not just the wins and losses in spring training they're trying to evaluate.
And that might play perfectly right into what Rick Eckstein told me around the cage at about 11 o'clock this morning, that what's important is guys are having good at-bats, they're staying with their program, and they're battling, and that's been the offensive approach. The Nationals had 2 hits in the first 5 innings of this game, and now they've had 5 hits and base runners all over the place the last 4 innings.
Well, and you just nailed it. Having good at-bats, whether it's Ian Desmond and the great at-bats he's putting in right now, or Chris Duncan, who may have had a few flaws in his mechanics that Rick Eckstein's trying to work out right now, and then that big 2-out single that he just came up with in the last half of the inning. So, it's more a question of the evaluators saying, is this guy making any progress with what we're working on here in the spring? Or if, say, if a guy like Bernardino is coming back from an injury, does he look like he's progressing to where we're happy with his progress?
3-1, another long count. He's already walked 1. There's another. And the Nationals have 2 men aboard here in the bottom of the 9th.
The meetings after the game will be like, they'll go down everybody that played in today's game. Say for Nyjer Morgan, you'll be like, great base stealing, putting the ball in play, using his speed, sliding feet first, did that very well. They're not worried so much about the final outcome of today. They want to see their guys that are going to break with the team in April, making progress towards April 5th. do you think they're talking about out there?
Babe Ruth's passed away, throw strikes. Isn't that what the famous pitching coach line one day? Went out to the young pitcher and said, Babe Ruth is dead, young man, throw strikes. Eric Bruntlett walked his last time up.
Heard some AC/DC. I thought Trevor Hoffman was going to come jogging in from
they
the
almost
outfield.
broke into Hell's Bells, didn't they?
Almost. A couple of courses, couple of chords, notes.
One ball and no strikes. Nats are down by 5, but they're battling here. Out of play right side. The sun has popped out here late in the day. We're at the 4 o'clock hour here in Vieira, Florida, the home of the Nationals at Space Coast Stadium. Just north of Melbourne, Florida. Bob Carpenter, Rob Dibble, Debbie Taylor, and our MASN production crew. We are pleased to be back with you for the first time this year. And after today, only 166 more. Counting spring training. Good effort there by Jeff Larish, the first baseman. And barely staying alive is Eric Bruntlett.
Well, it's funny, when I went in to say hello to some guys, Mike Morse was in there. He's featuring the long hair this spring. And I said, are you hitting well? He said, yeah. I said, keep the hair.
Yep. Don't go changing.
No.
Breaking ball, right field.
Oh, get down that line.
Pretty good swing. That ball is caught by Bosch on a fantastic play that probably prevented 1, maybe 2 runs from scoring. And if he doesn't make that play, Eric Bruntlett would be at least at second, maybe beyond. Alert base running by Derek Norris went back and tagged when the fielder hit the turf, and he got over to third base with 1 out. Brennan Bosch with an outstanding play. Here's Mike Morse, who singled down that way last time up.
That was a great job by Norris, recognizing that ball might be caught, went back to the bag, didn't get caught in between, so now he's in scoring position with 1 out. Big power guy that could hit a fly ball and score you.
And that was a good at bat by Eric Bruntlett.
Well, here's now a good count. Let it fly. Spring training. Try to hit a home run here. Get 3 back.
We liked what we saw from this big, strong young man in September. Morse came into this game hitting .313 this spring. 5 for 16 with a couple of home runs and 5 RBIs. He's added a base hit today. Lays off the breaking ball. So now with 1 out at third, they both walked. Norris on the other side, Justin Maxwell with blinding speed. Counts even 2-2.
Oh, that's some mid-season pitching right there. 1-0 count, 2 breaking balls to get the count at 2-1. Then he comes back with a fastball up and in. So he's barely showing the fastball, but he's throwing nothing but junk way away from Morse. Which I think the second week of spring training is a little bit too much respect.
Half swing, he hopes it stays foul. Now, Rob, you were a fastball pitcher primarily. I mean, you had other things to go with it, but how long into spring training before you, in earnest, started throwing your secondary pitches?
Maybe the last week of spring training.
So you wanted to build arm strength?
Absolutely. I mean, I wanted to be able to get loose to 95 miles an hour on 5 pitches or less, but also I didn't want to waste a lot of good sliders in spring training. You know, I mean, these strikeouts and outs don't really count. And once you've established yourself, you make the club, okay, now I got to work on stuff, on my mechanics and you know, building up the arm strength, because all the drills and stuff, that killed me in spring training. The throwing the bases and, you know, fielding a bunt, throwing it to second base and stuff. I'd always develop some kind of sore shoulder or sore elbow, so spring training for me was a nightmare.
2-2 to Morse. Mike hanging tough here.
I spoke with Bert Blyleven, and he talked about Joe Nathan. They recognized something was wrong with him the other day when he threw against the Red Sox. He threw all breaking balls. And Bert Blyleven said, listen, he can't throw a fastball because his elbow hurts so bad. He's just flipping some breaking balls in there. And for a closer of Nathan's caliber to be flipping curveballs, they knew something was really wrong.
That is a devastating blow to the Minnesota Twins. It'll be interesting to see how former Nat John Roush embraces that role.
He had, I think, 17 saves and 22 chances here, 2 years ago? And so really, he's the only guy with any amounts of saves in that Twins bullpen right now.
The best news for him might be the fact that they're not in the Metrodome anymore. A hitter's haven. And Morris bounces one high in the air out to second. DeLugash, and they turn the 4-6-3 double play, and that ends the ball game here. In a ball game that took 3 hours and 1 minute, the Nats drop it to the Tigers 9-4, out hit 14-7. Another rough outing for Nationals pitchers today. So the Tigers win it. They're 4-3, and the Nats are 0-7. For Rob Dibble and Debbie Taylor, Bob Carpenter inviting you to join us Friday, our next spring training telecast, when the Nats will host the world champion Yankees right here at 1 p.m. And from Space Coast Stadium in Vieira, this has been a presentation of MASN. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope we warmed you up just a little bit. And a nice day for Steven Strasburg. So long from Florida.